Hello, everyone, and welcome to another HORRORific Review. We've decided to go big and bold tonight, not only by covering 4 movies in a series for tonight's stream, but also I think this is our largest panel to date. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome MJ, Steve, Chris, and Mina. Also, welcome everyone to join in now in the chat and watch this afterwards. Great to have you as always. And we're just here to have a fun time discussing the House series of films. So to me, this is quintessential. Like, this series of films just is the 80s. So I'll just give the wee synopsis here. The House film series is a group of 4 American horror films released between 1986 and 1984, with the 5th installment scheduled for release in 2024. The series also touches on genres such as psychological thriller, supernatural, slasher, comedy, and adventure. I think we can safely say we get the whole mixed bag in this series of films, like everything but and including the kitchen sink. But more importantly, before we begin, obviously, what some folks here you've seen before once or twice, others you haven't. So just want to give everybody a chance to introduce themselves and do some plugging. Plug your stuff. We'll start with you, Steve.
Yeah, start with me. My name's Steve, and I'm an author. I write horror thrillers. So yeah, that's about me. I live in Wales in the United Kingdom. And I've got a Staffy Bull Terrier dog who's probably come down and see me in a minute. But yeah, that's me.
Excellent. MJ.
I'm a lap dancer in the evenings.
Here, aren't we all with a few vodkas in us?
That's a joke. I don't do it in the evenings. I do it by day. I'm joking.
Okay, well, I'm MJ. I'm not a lap dancer. I'm a horror writer.
So we've all got a free curse of this. Hi, I'm not a lap dancer, but I do this instead.
So I wrote The Suffering. So I don't know if any of you have seen that recently. So that only just came out in February. So yeah, check that out, please. Yeah, please do. Yeah, and hopefully something else coming out in the future. But that's all I've got at the moment, just The Suffering.
Yeah, that's more than most. So don't ever put yourself down, man.
No.
Okay. Chris, mate.
Yeah, I'm Chris.
The legend that you are.
I'm Chris. I am paid not to lap dance, so that's how I'm from New York, and you could usually find me in the chat section of this channel, telling bad jokes and just being a menace.
Yeah.
But a big fan of the channel and a big fan of Colin, and thank you for having me on.
Always a pleasure, mate. And finally, last but not least, Mina.
Hi, I'm also not a lap dancer. I am a filmmaker and I do YouTube. I'm currently making a short film. It'll be picture locked soon, called Poppy Seed. And I guess I'll plug my Instagram and stuff. I'm Spooky Mina on Instagram and Mina Edwards on YouTube.
Yeah, afterwards I'll get links in the description and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Because for After Effects, that's easier. People try to remember. So we'll do that as well. Just to help people find you, because it's all about spreading the word. But the reason here is we're all big horror nerds at the end of the day. And that's what's important.
Yeah.
I did try lap dancing, and my regiment banned me from doing it. There's a few drunken nights out south of England, and I was kind of calling, "Don't ever do that again." I just thought the ones doing it weren't trying hard enough, and I get excited. So there you go. We've all got. Anyone else any lap dancing stories?
Yeah, well, my son's stag night. He wanted to go in this lap dance bar. We went. It was £8 to get in.
Oh.
And we went in, and I was quite disappointed for me £8, so I asked for a refund. I got told where to go, of course, but
Money's ours, eh? I've never actually been to a strip club. I just never saw the point. I'm a tight bastard. I'm just it's my money. If I want to spend on stupid stuff, I want to see something the next day for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't normally, but it was my son's stag night. You know, that's my excuse anyway. Yeah, but another thing, we were up in London on Sunday and Monday, and my other half points to the door of one of these clubs in Soho, and it says, "Yeah, they're asking for people for auditions there." I says, "Yeah, no problem."
Fun times. Right, there we go. First tangent out of the way, as it in show's tradition.
Check.
We'll get onto the actual topic sometime. That's the way we roll here. But yeah, this series of movies, this is when I think about 80s horror. You can't help but think about the House series and the 80s horror. That's just synonymous with it. When you think of VHS rental storage, there's always a house poster up. And it was always there well past its time. The other ones got pulled down and replaced, but there was always a house poster. And that sort of artwork and graphics is just synonymous with VHS covers.
Yeah.
Just back to a simpler time, I think.
I liked the posters. I thought that for their time they were quite forward of themselves. The posters. I thought, yeah, the first one with the hand going across like that, and yeah, I thought they were a lot better than sort of the Friday the 13th and things like that. I thought, it actually give you something to think about. It was called House, but if you think on the first poster, there was no house in the poster; it was a hand. So
that's true. Actually, I always wondered, was it the same spirit or entity in each one? Obviously before I started watching them.
Yeah,
at a very young age, which it probably wasn't meant to, but hey, didn't do me any harm. Anyone else experiences? When did you first discover the series? Just jump in, Annie.
Yeah, similar sort of thing. I can remember, at the video stores, you'd have the Leprechaun poster always that was just there, and then the House poster, and the Freddy posters. They always just, like you say, just stayed up behind the counter or whatever. Just, it didn't matter how long the films had been out. There was just those certain horror posters that just stayed and stayed and stayed. So yeah, I think the hand's is it not ringing a doorbell? So I think there is
the first one is
so it's something to do with a house. It's tenuous, but it's there. Yeah, and just that thing, like you say, of Friday night, you'd go down to the video store, you'd get a VHS. People watching might not know what that is now, but it was like how people used to stream on a little box in the olden days.
Would you only stream one video at a time?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and it was just that feeling, wasn't it, of just getting something good, getting something exciting, and turning off all the lights and trying to spook each other and make yourself jump. And I think it was quite a good one for the old jump scares, that first one. Maybe not the second one so much, but but the first one is pretty good on the jump scares.
Oh yeah.
I actually missed out when it first came out. I had not seen it until a week ago. So but I remember going to the video store back then, and this was the poster on the front door. I guess because it had the doorbell, so it fit perfectly with the video store. But those were great. I missed those. You'd walk in and they would tell you, they'd know your name, and they'd say oh, this new Star Wars movie came in, or I miss those days. It was so personal. Yeah. Well. Sorry.
Sorry, but I do.
The wrong movie to reference. But that's the poster to me was just brought back memories of that VHS store. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I grew up with the first House movie. It was one of the first. Okay, so I think the first House movie is really good for a first timer. It's not overly gory or anything like that. So I was introduced to House pretty young, and I remember we had the original VHS tape. I think my parents probably still have it. But I remember the finger touching the doorbell was really an iconic artwork. But I remember that movie being absolutely horrifying. I remember the famous jump scare that a lot of people know from that movie, and then like the old lady, the aunt.
Oh, the aunt, yeah, before
Yeah,
she
she scared me. Like, but I always thought it was kind of it's definitely a good horror beginner movie for sure.
like a gateway movie sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it's like a
Well,
gateway.
because funny enough, Chris is, until I roped him in here, he isn't actually just a horror fan, and he's just been gradually getting roped further and further towards the abyss.
That's right. This is a good gateway movie. Yep.
You're not one of these that hides behind the sofa or anything like that, Chris, are you?
No, that's what pillows are for. You hold the pillow up, and then you can see between the tassels.
Yeah, God. Still this day, like that. Everyone asks what your scariest movie is. I don't have it. It's scenes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the hallway scene out of the first house is definitely the one that still stays with me. That and a couple of others, but never actually full movies, if that makes sense. But definitely this franchise is one that, if it wasn't for the house franchise, I wouldn't be as deep into horror as I am, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know how you all think about that, but definitely it's iconic, in its own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So shall we? Obviously, we're not going to go through the plot of every single movie bit by bit because we'll be here for about 6 hours, and you never want to come back on another stream again. Like, oh god, no, not a bloody marathon. So we'll kind of just go over a few points of each movie and maybe overall themes. Maybe the best way to do it. And like I said, we kind of went big for this one because why not? So House first released in 1986. Again, Jay mentioned they're king jump scares, like, and Mina, just jump scares. That's what this movie's all about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any movie tops it in that respect. For like a first time movie to watch and for atmosphere, without a lot of gore happening.
Mm.
It still has a way there to chill you, and even watching it again, it's still. I think there's like muscle memory or scare memory or something in you, because you might have watched this movie 100 times. You're still like, oh, it's that bit again.
Yeah, you're sort of waiting for it to happen, and it happens.
Yeah. But it's shot so well as well, isn't it, for that? Because like when they're creeping around the house and like coming down the corridor, and he's about to kind of open something and then nothing happens, and then he opens something else and nothing happens, and then he opens that final door and it happens. It's done so well and it's paced so well, isn't it? It's just really, really nice kind of tension that builds up before the big jump scene comes in, I think.
Yeah, because there's loads of movies that have tried it. Like movies that overdo the jump scares.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like halfway through, oh, here's another one. Here's another one. And you kind of switched off. But yeah, these movies hold up so well. It's unreal.
Yeah.
I think it goes back again, what we were saying about the 80s, where, they were sort of bringing them in, weren't they, from the late 70s into the 80s of these sort of jump scare type of movies and slasher type of movies. But if you watch them now, you actually say to yourself, hey, that was an 80s movie, don't you? Because they're like we said about the mistakes, no one cared about the mistakes back in the 80s.
Except you, Steve.
Except me. The shadow of the guy holding the microphone on the boom, and he's there he is, but no one cared. Whereas now it would be, oh, how did that get through? But no one seems to care. But
everyone was talking about the Starbucks in the Game of Thrones episode for like months. So it's like you said, it's a big deal now. If there's one tiny mistake, everyone blows it out of proportion.
Yeah. Whereas I think, is it like House 4 where there's like literally a woman just sat at the table like that when Terry goes around the corner, there's like a woman who's like waiting with a prop or something. You can just see her entire body and like nobody cares. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. You could not get away with it.
TV was the same. I'm not sure if you're aware of a program called Faulty Towers. Where in the episode where Gourmet Night, if you look closely, when the door slams against Basil Fawlty when he's got the second chicken, you can actually see the production assistant slamming the door. And but again, no one cares because it was late 70s that was. But
Yeah.
There's actually one recently. They came from somewhere by Acrorstar Films, good friends of the show. And you can actually see them wobbling the curtain and stuff. And I was talking to Anne, the producer, and about it afterwards, and she's like, "Yeah, that was me. I was the one wobbling the curtain, and I couldn't keep a straight face." But they handed up and they did the movie all in that style and deliberately. And you don't care. See, when you get a sense of a movie's having fun, I think that's what's wrong with movie making today. There's no sense of fun anymore.
No.
Especially with Hollywood, it's all, we have to preach something, or we have to do this or that, and just these morose individuals with no friends just want to share their misery and put it in film. And it's like, God's sake, smile, it's all right.
But
Mina, jump in, by the way, because I can make eye contact with everybody. I know you're having technical difficulties, but don't be shy. Just jump in, because I can't see you giving an order about the speaker or anything to prompt you.
I was going to say that it's all about it's with Hollywood and stuff. It's all about like what makes money, and I think they don't want to take chances anymore. Like where House is a chance, and like movies like The Thing and all that stuff it's a chance, and whereas now they want to use something that people already know, that's nostalgic, and then they want to bank on that. They're like, well, this is safe. And so that's kind of what's killing Hollywood at the moment, is that it's they want to stay safe. They want to stay behind the line.
Yeah, and that's working out well for them. By the way, Insidious: The Red Door blew Indiana Jones out of the water.
I saw that.
It made its money back like in the first day.
Yeah.
And mainstream movies are like losing hand over fist. And you're like, horror wins again.
People want horror movies. I think Megan did well. Megan did really well.
It's a fun movie. I'm self-aware as well.
Yeah, I think I liked Megan. I thought I saw the unrated version. I didn't see the one in theaters. I thought it was a bit tame for my taste, but I also think so. Like Malignant, I think that one got hurt because of the time that it was released in. But I think that had that been like released in theaters or in like in a different time, I think it would have exploded. I think it's the time of camp now. I think people have spoken and they want to go see horror. They don't want to see Indiana Jones.
Yeah, but that's always been the case. Cameron and I talk about this ad nauseum in our monthly spot. Horror has kept the cinema doors open since the dawn of time. Because horror is always, what you see is what you get. Yeah, we'll watch some terrible movies, but half the times we expect that. And if we know the movie's made with love, we're very forgiving. We don't need messaging because we're all weirdos anyway. So we have anything you can think of has been in a horror movie. So people come and try, I want to insert this. You just show them 10 movies and go, done there, been there, done that, go away. But it's just it's heartwarming to see, like, horror movies are still coming out and going, do you know what? We're not trying, we're not going to call the audience names, and we're just going to make a movie for the love. And like, so this franchise, but then nearly 40 odd years later, still holding up strong because it was made by heart of, I want to make a good movie and I want people to watch a movie to have a good time. Just bonkers. That's just a strange concept now.
True.
Yeah. I think a horror movie in this day and age can go too much on the CGI for its shocks.
Oh
If
yeah,
you,
that's
if you take House, I mean, it all had to be makeup, really, didn't it? A bit like the old American Werewolf in London, where they showed Rick Baker actually making the hand, and he had to make the hand frame by frame. When he was turning into the werewolf, and his hand was being made up, and he actually had to add a bit, and then they filmed another frame, and then they filmed another frame, and finally they got this scene where the hand was turning into a werewolf. And I think back in the 80s with a thing like House, they never had much on the grounds of CGI, did they? That
non-existent. Sure, it was still practical
it
effects.
was all makeup.
100%.
Yeah, which benefited really the House movie, because I'm old school. I like the old style special effects. I'm not a great lover of CGI. And
No, there's still a magic. You say, how did they pull that off? How did they do it? I mean, you're just about. You've done principal photography, isn't that right? In your project at the moment, you haven't started shooting yet.
No, I am. I've already started shooting. I'm almost at picture lock. I'm currently in the process of assembly for my film.
All right, flip back along quickly. Sorry, I haven't kept up to date. Bad Colin. Bad.
I've been kind of quiet about it, but I've been working on it since last March. And it's been kind of slow because I moved and everything, so that kind of made things a bit slower. But
pesky life, eh?
Yeah, but it's going to be probably picture locked by the end of this month, and I'm hoping to submit it to film festivals next year.
So, without spoilers, how are you going with effects? Are you practical, or are you relying a lot on post-production? What's your kind of technique?
So they're doing. I have done practicals, composites. I've done a lot of composites. I actually went outside. My toe still hasn't recovered from this. It was snowing, and I waited 6 months for this shot. I was like, I want a shot in the snow. So I had to go out there in my bare feet for like 20, 30 minutes while filming a shot in a dress with my bare feet, and my toe is still like screwed up from it. But a lot of it is practicals and just composite, and I try not to spoil anything.
That's why I say without spoiler, because obviously we want people to watch your film, of course.
The demon in it is definitely practicals. All of that is it's funny. I took something. I did it on $500. I took an old Gandalf Halloween costume. I was like, this would look good for the demon, so we used it. It's like taking things around the house and seeing what looks good. But yeah, on a low budget, I feel like you kind of get more creative. So I mean, maybe that's like in the 80s. I guess they had like smaller budgets.
Well, this was made on $3 million, the first House movie.
Wow,
which moderate. I mean, that's moderate budget for a movie.
For 80s, that looks quite good, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yep. Was the temptation there though? Do you CGI? Do you think, oh well, it's available and do it a lot cheaper, or was there? Do you think of movies like this and some of the stuff that comes out now? Was there a bit of a I don't want to be that?
CGI.
Sorry, this is segued in an impromptu interview because we love our tangents.
Are you talking about in terms of
basically what I'm saying is, do the films like House, does that sort of inspire you to go, I want to do practical effects? Because I still remember how fun these movies are and watchable years later, and I've seen CGI stuff and I know they're not the age very quickly.
Oh god, yeah.
Now that play a factor? Well,
yeah.
And actually creative process yourself?
Oh yeah. I get scared because I've seen I don't know if you guys seen the Thing prequel. But
no, I'm maybe going to watch it. I've kind of went off. I heard bad things about it, and I heard mainly the CGI. And I'm like, I don't want to ruin a classic with a
It could have been good. It had like the bones to be good, and then like so they did shoot it with practicals.
I heard
first.
that, yeah, and then they flipping reshot it with CGI.
Yeah, it's because they don't trust artists anymore. They trust. I guess they're so fearful of the audience that they tell the artist like, I can't trust you. Like we just want money. But yeah, they reshot it, and then now it's completely CGI, and then like you can see the bones underneath it, and you're like, this could have been a really good prequel, and it just failed miserably. But like I do worry about CGI. I won't release anything if I think that it won't age well. So I kind of I sit there and I make sure that everything looks as practical as I can. Especially though, like practicals are expensive. They really are. And so when you're on a budget like that's like $500, like it gets more difficult. You have to start, like what do I have in my closet? What do I have that I use? Here's the red food coloring. Here's some like chocolate syrup, and you start putting all this stuff together. But yeah, most of the stuff in my short film is practicals and just composites. We did a knife scene in it that looks fabulous, and I'm so happy with the way it turned out, and I can thank YouTube for helping me out on that one. There's a lot of cool tutorials and stuff on YouTube that new filmmakers should definitely check out.
Yeah, and even like this, any interviews about especially 80s horror, it's always the effects team. Like, we'll take up an hour's worth of documentary going, this is our recipe for blood, this is how we did this, and it's basically a big nerd fest with movies, but we don't see anymore either, which I think is a bit of a shame. Like with modern movies, you just get the actors talking, but in the old days, it was all everyone wanted to hear from a special effects team more than the actual actors. And how did they pull this off, or how did they get the animatronics for this, or how did they make that look as if it came through the wall, And that's all. I think sadly,
on the Blu-rays, one of the things I do is look at the extras and see if they've got like things from the special effects team and things like that. I don't want to hear about say Liam Neeson and how wonderful he was and how he'd done all the research into the part. I'd rather see the team behind the film, and that's why when I look at the extras on a Blu-ray, well, I did because I don't do Blu-rays much anymore. I always used to look, oh yeah, they've got an interview with the special effects people, when I'll watch that. But
yeah, every time. I think that's the magic. So the story of this first one, Arthur Cobb, troubled man, he's separated from his wife. His only son, Jimmy, disappeared without a trace, which will come important later when we'll get further down this rabbit hole. On top of everything else, he's a writer. He's been pressured by his publishers. Most people are trying to find a publisher these days. To have such a problem, eh? Sure you guys can appreciate that. But his aunt, his terrifying aunt, hangs herself. It was that scene just for just. It was one of the dream sequences. Just like, do something. I can't even remember what the line was, but just like looking in her eyes are just freaky as hell. It's like, yes, that's horror. Let's do it. But Roger decides to move into the house rather than sell it, and then all this crazy stuff starts happening. But like I said, it's just definitely there's a lot of campy horror in this. Like I mentioned, a lot of slapstick-esque type comedy. MJ, you mentioned about you open the cupboard door, nothing happens, and it's coming. It's like the person with the plank, about to turn around and whack somebody in the head. It's coming. But do you not think as well there's actually a seriousness to this movie that could easily get masked over the sort of horror aspect?
It's one of the things, because I don't know if you remember, I messaged you and said, is this supposed to be comedy horror?
Yeah.
No, because bits of it I didn't find were in the comedy horror genre. You know, I thought, oh, this is actually horror here.
Yeah.
And then it would go back to like the comedy bit, and then it would go more straighter, you know, and then go back to the comedy bit. And I thought, yeah, is it comedy horror or is it horror?
Yeah, there's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't there, with this first one? I think that's it's always intrigued me every time I watch it.
Yeah.
It's not straight out like when we get the House 2, like that's just straight out lols to the end. But this first one, yeah, there is the comedy aspect. Like I said, for me, as a kid, that scene when Sandy turns into the gremlin monster in the middle of the hallway in broad daylight, because traditionally horror is nighttime, you know, only the spooky things happen at night. And there's only a few movies, this Texas Chainsaw Massacre, for example, the pull of horror in broad daylight, it's a special thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
And this movie did it. But then it jumped like straight after that to a comedy scene when he's out cleaning his shotgun in the porch. And you're like, what is going on?
But then there's the shock in between of her, like you think he's killed her, and then it's just like, oh my God, that was a bit serious. And like the whole thing with Sandy, like when she rings him at the very beginning, there's like a real sadness to like their relationship, isn't there, that you don't expect from a horror comedy, where he's like pretending he's at the big party and she's just lost her award, so she's really sad, and they're on the cusp of a divorce. So it's like there's so many layers to the relationship, but you don't expect that kind of poignancy, like when he hangs up and he's just like, oh, you're an idiot, and it's kind of sad. Whereas, you know, like you say with House 2, there's just kind of none of that feeling. It's just two daft lads just going about the business and with zombie gramps. But with this one, there is that kind of so many different layers to the family and the PTSD, and it gets pretty intense at times in between
and the whole issue with veterans and the Vietnam War and PTSD and betrayal, like these aren't light subjects just to be tossing around.
Yeah, so I think the reason why it's so like disjointed like that, where it's so different, is that I did some research after, and apparently
that's somebody to us. The first time ever to my show.
So apparently, what's his name? Fred Dekker. The original screenplay by Fred Dekker was traditional horror film, no humor in it at all. And it was only when Ethan Wiley came in and rewrote the script that he completely changed it. And I think Ethan Riley was the director. I think he was the director of the second one for sure. I think this one too.
Yeah, and so Sean S. Cunningham was the producer throughout all of them.
I think you just have like two completely different story elements. So like the first screenplay was just horror, and probably like you said, the PTSD is a kind of a heavy topic, which was, you know, only that term was only coming about in the 80s. Prior to that, no one ever used that term.
No, it was shell shock even up until like 90s, 2000. It wasn't until the Iraq War that the whole idea of PTSD came to the fore.
Right. So I think that's why it's so mixed. But I think that balance works really well. I think of the four movies, it had the best balance.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask. Did it work? Obviously, we're still talking about it flipping 40 odd years later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it did. Yeah.
Yeah, like watching it a couple of times as well lately, and just thinking about like, oh God, how would I sort of like analyze it kind of thing. And it's like the way, like you say, with the going back to the Vietnam War, and every time he tries to write, he's about to go and get the pills, isn't he? And then it's like when he chooses not to take the pills, then he can't do it. He can't write, he can't find his son, he can't do this, he can't do that. And then he takes the pills and then he starts to write, and then crazy shit happens, and then he actually ends up going into the medicine cabinet, doesn't he, at the end to get it. So it's like there's so many kind of like, it's as if they kind of push it. And I don't know if this is like going into it too deep, but it was just something that sort of came to my mind, like, oh, he actually goes in the medicine cabinet, and it's like it featured so much. And in the crazy painting and stuff, and it's like that's the resolution, isn't it? Like going and getting the medicine sort of resolves, and then all the family kind of come back together until number 4, where they all just disappear, which is a bit weird.
And your family appears, and it's like,
the son disappeared too.
Became a daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
We will get to that.
It was a straight VHS before, wasn't it?
I flip, I should have checked that. I think this one came out in the cinema.
I thought it was straight to VHS.
No. I think this one actually came out in the cinema.
Yeah, and I was reading as well, Chris. It was like Pretty in Pink came out at the same time, didn't it? And they were like neck and neck. Well, supposedly, allegedly neck and neck, but I think Pretty in Pink really, really did beat it, didn't it? But a lot of the production was saying that they were at number one for a while.
Who's did a podcast 30 plus years later talking about Pretty in Pink? Anybody? Hello? Anyone?
Yeah.
I think the thing that amazed me was the producer of the 4 was Sean S. Cunningham, who
he's been featured in all the movies.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, he's had a producer credit and everyone.
But you're talking of Friday the 13th, Sean S. Cunningham. You know, and the thing that went through my mind knowing about Friday the 13th is when he first done Friday the 13th, he didn't have a script. He was going to all the money men and saying, "Oh, I've got this film, Friday the 13th," but he didn't tell them, "I haven't got a script for it. It's the scariest horror movie to date." That's what he was going around saying. I read the book. The book's quite good. And but yeah, he was, and I was there thinking, I wonder if he did the same with House. Did he have a script? Because some of the things that, like the Vietnam sub story and things like that. I thought, did he actually? Was he making it up as he went along, sort of thing?
See, I don't know. It might be the storytelling mechanism, or like Chris said, the script being rewritten. But this isn't all shoehorned in. There's a definite attempt to tell a story here, and that's you maybe don't get it until you come back with a critical eye and you're paying more attention. But no, there's definitely a serious underlying story. Like I said, grief, loss, separation, PTSD, war, betrayal. I mean, that's all in there, and it's not. Yeah, there's a bit of goofiness, but no, there's enough poignant scenes and acting, and it's too much part of the story to just be thrown in there. Like some of the movies we've reviewed recently, honestly, it's like they just got a big bit and just went, right, that'll fit. That'll use another 10 minutes. But you don't get that feeling with this. There's a wee bit of disjointedness, but I think it's intentional.
Yeah.
I'm so confused on Tanya's character. Like what is Tanya? Why is she there?
And when she dumps the kid with him, it's just like, what are you even doing? Who would do that?
He just runs off with his kid into the bathroom, and I'm like, that's kind of weird.
And then the little kid comes out crying with him, and she's just like, oh, it's fine. Right, I'm going now. Bye. It's so weird. And then he gets yeeted up the chimney, doesn't it? It's so funny. I love that bit. It's just the randomest thing.
There's creepy those whatever they are, those little ghouls or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, the part that really makes me, I had to rewatch it 3 times. Is the part where he's talking to, I don't know. I can't remember. It was the guy that was trying to sell him talking about selling the house. But he picks up the is it a harpoon or something?
Oh, yes.
And then he shoots it at beside his head, and then the way Roger just looks at him while he's looking at his aunt's painting, and then just so he's angry, and then he's going through all the stages. He's angry and denial, and then it's just then he forgives him. It's just really weird.
But that was the 80s, though. Shit it happened all the time. That's not, you know what I mean? If you think about the 80s, right? You used to have Freddy Krueger appear on a children's program in a school to do a segment. That was quintessential the 80s. Nobody gave a shit.
No, we had all of those public announcement videos, didn't we? Where there was kids getting just maimed and electrocuted.
Oh yeah, and the flipping building sites and all, and just car crashes and just full on middle of the day. No censorship. Yeah. God.
Exactly. Freddy Krueger, wasn't it? It was don't use knives because this
That to me, that was just the 80s. There was just a different mindset.
Yeah.
I don't know, considering how miserable people are today, I don't think it's a bad mindset, to be honest. Like, we're all laughing, you know what I mean, having a joke, and we're getting on.
Yeah.
Because we've had these experiences, but everybody now is just like, oh, my life's so terrible. Wish it would end. Pity me. And you're just like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, especially some like horror movies that are being released out nowadays, they're a little too serious. I wasn't the Evil Dead Rise movie. I was like, this isn't, in my opinion, it wasn't fun. Like, I felt kind of drained afterwards. I feel like we've kind of forgot how to have fun. Like, and that was like something that the 80s really brought to the table. Is it was like fun. There were like bright colors, lots of fun music, things that don't quite make sense, but they're hilarious. And now everything's just like very, very serious, and like the color grading.
Sanitized.
Yeah, sanitized. Yes. And then like the color grading of like the movies is kind of like muddy, and it's not as fun.
Yeah. Actually, we were talking about that on Sunday with the Dread. We're doing a Clive Barker series. We're going through a cinematic history every month, once a month. And the time of the torture porn series of movies come out, that color grain was just every movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that stupid subdued color grain, and it's exhausting to watch. And just like you don't get scared, you don't get anything. You just think, like you said, when you get drained, you're just like, oh god, here's another one.
Yeah, it's like bland, isn't it? It's just
when the color becomes so expensive. Like, and you see it in the stupid superhero nonsense as well. Like, they don't even have bright costumes, and that's what they're supposed their genre is all about. Everything's gold. You're like, no fun, anyone? No bright colors afraid to make you melt. I don't know. But yeah, this movie in particular, not so much the series, but definitely House has a cult following. Has it earned it?
For sure.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of those that's going to stick in everyone's mind, isn't it? That, like I said years ago when I was living in Wales before, we used to have what we used to call crap film night, and so every other one used to choose a film, not necessarily crap, but sort of it could be old like House, and laughable like House, and it would be one of the movies that we probably put on for our, perhaps crap film night is the wrong word now, but our crap film night, because we'd sit there and laugh at it, and they would say, "See any mistakes, Steve?" And I'd say, "Yeah, look at that boom mic," and things like that.
It doesn't take long to get to know you, Steve, eh?
No. Yeah, it would have a cult following, I think, and because my friends who were at the crap film night would say stuff like, "Is there a House 2?" or things like this. So it would be the sort of foundation of being a cult film, really.
Yeah, absolutely. There'll probably be another podcast in 10 years' time talking about the exact same thing. And that's long may I continue. Right. On to the comedy gold, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. House 2, like, I love that. Also, I love that. I had to put in the subtitles as well. The second story.
Yeah.
Like,
Pun gold.
yeah. Really?
Yes. And what is the fourth one called? What is it? The repossession. Yeah.
The third one. The third one's
the horror show.
The horror show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Discount Shocker. But we'll get to that. But yeah, this just went completely the other direction. Like where House was on the seesaw between seriousness and comedy. Part 2, they just went, nah, balls to walls, straight in. Let's just have a laugh.
Yeah. It's so good. I love it. This one's my favorite, I think.
Yeah, same here. Just that was, yeah. We're going to be at the end, but you're.
I thought the grandpa I thought the grandpa just made the whole movie. He was the best.
Yeah.
He was the best
Yeah.
character.
He's so great.
It got me thinking, like, imagine like getting to hang out with like your great grandpa. You know, he would be so disappointed in me. You can't build a house with your own hands. You can't wrestle a bear. What are you doing with your life?
It was like at the end, isn't it, when he goes back into the bedroom and his grandpa's just like, oh, I thought he was gonna like kick your head in. It's like, sorry, son, but I did. It's the same thing, isn't it?
Exactly.
The thing is, this is a completely different story. It loosely looks like the original House, but it's not. You know, it's. I thought if we're going to do a series, of like be a medieval horror, you know, come back to the same house or the same antagonist, but nah, they just went, nah, we're just calling it this, and we're just going to go with it, and just folks deal with it. It's the 80s, we don't care. Another line there, boys. Oh yeah, let's pump another 3 movies out. But young urban professionals, Jesse McLaughlin and his girlfriend Kate, move into an old mansion that has been in Jesse's family for generations. They're soon joined by Jesse's goofy friend Charlie Carell, who brought along his diva girlfriend Lana, in the hopes of being discovered by Kate, who works for a record company. Yeah, that worked out well. Then stuff starts to happen.
Give me the skull.
Do you not think it's just like, just lock it up, just put it away, stop putting it back on that shelf? And
what's the rules of horror?
Right.
What's the rules of horror? Don't touch the glowing idol thing. Leave it alone. Don't go into the basement. Don't read from the book written in human blood, bound in human flesh. And don't, for God's sake, read it out loud.
When the film is ended, it hasn't ended because he's going to creep up from behind you.
Don't hit the killer once and walk away. I think this is just all of us in the one.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the 80s and just random ideas, like the best thing in this, yeah, let's dig up my great grandfather. The skull might be in there. Let's just do it. Like, who? I'm sure maybe some of us have been in the night out and had a few beers and silly ideas at that time in their lives, but none of us like, yeah, let's go into the family cemetery and let's dig up a relative just to see.
Yeah.
I don't know, that sounds like a fun time, digging up my elders. I don't know, I do it.
They went drink driving, didn't they?
Oh,
Colin Graff. You wouldn't
well,
get
they can
away
do
with
that in
that.
America because they've only got straight roads. They don't have these things called corners we have in the UK.
Yeah, it's fine.
We'd laugh at it now. Back in the 80s. Now we go, he's drink driving. That's a big no. Why hasn't he been picked over and chased by the police for drink driving? Where back then they didn't care if it was a dead man.
Yeah,
Charlie drink driving.
But the question is, did you know that drink driving wasn't a good idea in real life?
Well, no.
Oh, okay. Maybe just because I grew up with a lot of friends who were getting their L plates at the same time. Older friends, by the way, who were doing their learners at the same time as me because they're trying to get their license back. And then they were telling me how much their insurance was costing. So I was learning from a young age. That's not a good idea because you get your license taken off you, and then you have to redo your test, and your insurance is just sky high for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But I think that's another thing as well about like suspending your disbelief, because like watching it in the 80s, you just kind of accept it, don't you? But like watching it now, I think we're so trained to just pick at everything, and sort of like, it's like all I could think of whenever it was these scenes with Gramps and like him dancing with people. I was like, wouldn't he smell? I mean, he must smell. And I was like, I would have never, ever have thought that, like watching it in the 80s and 90s. Like, why are we so critical now?
I'd go, I wonder if he cleans his teeth because his breath like
exactly. Yeah, you're just like, oh, he must stink. He's just been in a grave for 70 years or whatever. But yeah, you wouldn't have thought that in the 80s. It wouldn't have even occurred to you, I don't
No,
think.
you just went with it.
Yeah.
I think the whole movie.
Gramsci hasn't fallen apart. He's fully intact. Ride a rock again.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? It's dry. It wasn't like the swamp or anything, you know. No problem.
I think the whole movie had a recurring theme of just like going with it, like the electrician when he opens up the wall and he's like, there's a dimension to another world. I'll take care of it. I'll come with you. Just,
yeah, but he's also a part-time adventurer, so like he has a sword and stuff in his freaking toolbox,
yeah,
just in case. He's like, you know what it's like with these old houses.
he sees us once a week. Yeah,
he does fight the Aztec warriors, doesn't he? So,
would you be allowed to have that? Would there be some sort of isnophobish type element now if you had Aztec warriors like that in a movie now? Oh dear, we're about to get banned off YouTube.
yes.
The mob's coming for us. Look, they're lighting the torches now and the pitchforks.
yeah,
Burn them. They've got a sense of humor. No, but honestly, with that, you wouldn't be able to portray Aztec people now like that. That'd be expensive.
especially not Aztec virgins, would you? Because there was the Aztec virgin, wasn't there, that they rescued?
They're
giant.
a very vocal community, I guess.
Like, it wasn't there like the big giant Aztec who came was extremely Caucasian looking as well. I was just like, not an Aztec.
I think that was Kane Hodder, actually.
No, he was the gorilla, wasn't he? He was the one he threw over the balcony.
That was him? Kane Hodder?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, it all revolves around this skull and trying to possess it, and Gramps' arch nemesis. Oh god, I nearly forgot his name there. Flipping Slim Rizzer. You know, that fought over this, and there's a long running feud, and we're going through space and time, and I always love a jungle scene, you know, right? Man with the big gun goes first. Like, and only in the 80s could you get a belt-fed machine gun just like that.
Yeah.
Just pick it up and know how to use it. With the magical belts that never run out. That was an 80s thing as well. The everlasting magazine clips.
That's right. That's right.
It's like the everlasting gobstopper in Charlie's Chocolate Factory, but for horror movies, you know, the action movies.
While we're on this subject, do you remember I told you about the old 80s music, like for Friday the 13th, and it was the same composer that did it. This was the same composer as Friday the 13th. It was I don't know whether he had a thing with Sean S. Cunningham. He's called Harry Manfredini. Now, this Harry Manfredini was a classically trained composer, but throughout his career, all he's done is horror films, like Friday the 13th, House, and he's got the same old 80s dun dun, like when Jason is, you know, chasing someone, isn't it? You got dun on. It's like single note composing, and but it's yeah.
I love the way the Shutter Channel kind of nicked that for their intro.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, okay, fair play to you. It's so subtle, but why not? Once again, it's back to my thing. I'm sick of harping on about it. People being ashamed of horror. People being ashamed of being horror creators. Even people, you know, like yourself, a couple of others, sometimes you feel like, oh, I can't really tell people I'm a horror author. You know, I have to say something else because they look weird at me. It's like, piss off. Come on. I want to change that, get people to embrace it, because you get movies like this when people just embrace it. And I bet you he had no shame whatsoever saying, yeah, the Friday the 13th, guess what? People are still watching it now in the Dead House. People are still watching it now. What have you done, Mr. Snobby fantasy, or what do you call that? Some of them other silly genres, romantic comedy writer. Who's going to remember your stuff?
I have to be careful in some avenues where I sell books, because if I just say I'm a horror writer, I'm looked at differently as if I say I'm a horror thriller writer. And a lot more people buy my books by me saying I'm a horror thriller writer, because my books sort of verge on both. You know, they're sort of in between thrillers because they've all got the same police team, but then you got the horror side, like if you take The Killing Moon.
You managed to enrage the entire city of Plymouth.
I did, yeah. I've gone for everyone. I've gone for the juggler, councillors, MPs, a lot. I've even had solicitors' letters telling me to change some of the character names because they relate too much to an MP.
BBC employees.
Yeah, I've gone for the jugular and a lot of them.
Nonce Factory.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think part of the fun that they were trying to show was they kept bringing in people from the TV show Cheers. So they had George Wendt as the neighbor in the first one. And then the second one, they had John Ratzenberger, Cliff Clavin. So I think that was also part of the fun, is that they're bringing in these people that are well-known actors playing on a sitcom that was popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, all sort of nods and winks, but...
And you never know if it was the actor actually saying, "Can I appear on it?" Because there was that old thing, wasn't there? The old... Who's that?
Oh, excuse me for 1 second.
Oh, maybe he's technically working at the moment.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because what a better way to goof off and like his boss is going, "Here, yeah, I'm just watching you on YouTube here. What are you at?"
I thought you'd phoned in sick.
Oh, wouldn't be brilliant.
Do you remember the old Columbo detective?
Oh yeah, when he knew exactly who it was from like the first scene.
But people actually used to say, "Can I be in Columbo?" Some of the big actors, they actually wanted to be on the program.
Do you not think there was a bit more of that? Like this channel, that's what I want to try and foster again as well. Just that bit of come on for a laugh, no ulterior motive, just hang out, have a laugh, you know, and if it makes content and people enjoy it as well, yeah, so be it. But more importantly, let's just have a bit of fun, because why not? Life's for living. And in the 80s, I think there's a bit more of that about. Even in the cesspool like Hollywood, you know, there's still that bit of, you know, yes, you're a buddy of mine. Oh, you're doing this? Yeah, sure, I'll jump in for 5 minutes. What's it to me? Now it's all friggin' negotiations for like a year before a cameo.
Yeah.
Like, Easter eggs and cameos, I think, have become the worst thing about movies today.
Yeah.
And I think once once it becomes corporatized, and those soulless grey idiots who have got themselves their fingers into every pie of entertainment and creativity while having absolutely none themselves, you know, they're the ones that have caused that destruction. It's amazing how you can destroy a culture. It's very hard to build one.
Yeah.
It's very hard to build goodwill, and it's very hard to build trust.
Yeah. I think PC has had a lot to do with it as well, you know, political correctness. Because in the 80s, comedy could get away with a lot more than it can do these days.
Comedy's down these days. I wouldn't even.
I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, there are certain aspects that should be banned. You know,
if you're actually being hateful, to someone, and you are saying, "I hate you because of X, Y, or Z, and you should be wiped off the face of the earth."
Yeah,
like, I don't know, maybe Irish Americans. Sorry. But you know, if you come up with that sort of stuff, you know, maybe there's a case if you're actually doing it with intention.
Yeah.
But if you're just making a joke and you're being satirical and you're just maybe calling attention to something using the vehicle of humor, what harm are you actually doing?
It's all about context, I think, for sure.
Offense is taken, not given.
Yeah.
Because his character as well, is it John Ratzenberger, the second Cheers guy, the explorer? He's like very much that stereotype of someone who isn't very good. Like he knock something off and just says like, "Oh, it's cheap foreign muck, so don't worry about it." And then at the end, when after they come out of the portal where the Aztec girl that they've rescued, and he's like, it was very nice to meet you. Like, you know, so I think
I will speak proudly in English and you will understand.
Exactly. So there is that element of, we know that people are like this, and
yes,
it's
but
just taking the mic.
Even his character, he's not done this is the way to be, folks.
No, exactly. It is obviously
like Basil Fawlty.
comedy.
We mentioned Fawlty Towers.
Yeah.
Basil Fawlty was never put up as the epitome of what you should aim to be.
No,
the whole joke is that because he's like that and makes people cringe, it's the cringe and laugh.
Yeah,
and that does more for spreading the message than 100 friggin' blue-haired, face metal covered activists stamping on you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's madness.
It just makes me wonder, you know, about the comedy aspect of like House, where because there wasn't as much emphasis on political correctness, it managed to be successful in the comedy genre, even though it was a horror movie, and got away with things, whereas you question, you know, would it get away with that sort of thing in this day and age?
Absolutely not. It would be hounded.
Yeah.
And Twitter Nazi mobs would be just like, yeah.
Because I think the thing about political correctness, correctedness in movies is that whether you're in the right or you're not, you're automatically dividing half the audience or a portion of the audience. I think like a movie like this, if you don't focus on political messaging, it brings everyone in. Everyone can enjoy it. So I think that's something that modern movies don't get, is that whether you're in the right or not, you're still alienating a certain percentage of the audience just by having messaging in it. You know?
I think the best thing is if someone's going to like release a movie and they think they might polarize an audience, turn your internet off. Because like go live out in the real world where people don't care. That's what I plan on doing. If I ever release like a film that I don't know, may or may not upset people, the internet doesn't exist until like a year down the road.
Yeah. I think there's so many people who get upset on behalf of other people as well, where it doesn't actually affect them or impact them, but they are just getting so upset. Whereas, you know, there are people in those groups who don't care about it and it's not an issue, but, you know, people who are do-gooding, and it's not necessary, really.
One aspect there was, again, talking about Fawlty Towers, a couple of years ago, the BBC had this thing about they couldn't show the Germans episode because it might upset the Germans. I knew a few Germans and said, you know, is it upsetting you? And they said, no, we love Fawlty Towers. You know, oh, he's so good at the walk, you know, and they didn't care. But, you know,
once again, it's not saying, like, Basil Fawlty is a catastrophe of a person. He's the nightmare hotelier.
Yeah.
He's the one that that's a hotel you don't want to go to. That's the one that gets the one half a star in Airbnb. You know what I mean? That's a place you just...
Yeah.
And it was never saying, oh, it's about him and laughing at him. But then that's where British comedy's unique anyway, because it celebrates the fallacies of people. That's what we find funny.
Yeah.
I think as well, if you wash over things like that too much, so young people don't see the example of like, oh, this is a ridiculous way to be, that's where they don't see that it's wrong. And if you just sort of remove everything that could be partially contentious, nobody sees it. And that's when the mistakes happen again, isn't it? It's cyclical because they don't have, you know, they only have this one, like completely like bleached side of it. So if they start seeing things that they've never seen before, then they might, you know, go the other way, because like you say, that you haven't grown up with that kind of like, well, this is a guy like Basil Fawlty who just does ridiculous things. You wouldn't ever want to be like him. But because people aren't allowed to see it anymore, it, you know, people can go down the wrong path and not even realize it's wrong.
I think the BBC is worrying about the wrong things at the moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think their priorities, especially after recent events, maybe look inside a bit before what the wrong and the right thing to be doing is. Basil Fawlty's not the wrong thing.
Exactly.
But we'll not go into that. That's a tangent I'll just leave right there. Jimmy Savile lives on. He's reincarnated.
Now that was a tangent.
That would be a horror movie, wouldn't it? That would be a bonkers horror movie. Just someone that looks like Jimmy Savile, but don't call him Jimmy Savile. Couple aspects of sorry, you probably don't get out any of this. It's probably just going. Whew. I'll leave you links. I'll email you the links for that.
I'll click on the link.
YouTube algorithms will go bonkers if we start talking about it in open. But yeah, that would be a massive. That'd be almost like the Leprechaun series, but with Jimmy Savile type character.
Didn't they have a statue of him? Like, didn't he have a statue or something?
Jimmy Savile.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. And there's another statue of someone less savory who involved animals as well. That's still up at corporate headquarters. That's all right. That's fine.
I'm not sure if
but Basil Fawlty's wrong for pointing out what an actual bigot looks like, so you can laugh at him and not be like that.
I'm not sure if our American friends know about. We used to have only two TV magazines in the 70s and 80s called the TV Times, which was based more towards ITV, and the Radio Times, which was based more towards BBC.
And it had another name.
And I heard this joke the other day. He says, I found a 1976 copy of the Radio Times in my loft, or as it's known now, the Sex Offenders Register.
Oh no!
It's funny because it's true. That's oh man, that's what. But then that sort of culture when you're what is it? People in glass houses, or if they protest too much, like I always say, beware the male feminist, because there's some poor girls locked in his basement. You know what I mean? The people that protest virtue and the nice folks are the scary ones that actually do the things in real life. Us horror idiots. I think that's why the SJW cult didn't really get into us, because they just took a look at horror fans, went, there's nothing we can do here. There's nobody we could upset. They're already mad.
Sorry.
I was just saying, I think that they already kind of do clamp down on the horror community. I've seen it a little bit. Like Toni Collette should have won an Oscar, or at least been nominated for Hereditary, and that's a fact.
Yes.
Her acting in that was phenomenal. They ignore horror in Hollywood. They will not nominate it for anything. I don't even remember, when was the last time a horror movie was even nominated?
I don't know. I didn't watch that thing.
Shape of Water? That was horror, right?
Yeah, it was Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, that was horror. I guess that one then. But it's not common.
Begrudgingly though.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't really. They do that with Hollywood, and they also do it with social media. You won't. It's really difficult to like grow as someone who enjoys horror. So they just do it in very covert ways. They're more overt with other things than with horror.
Well, Chris will tell you, he tried to type into YouTube the HORRORific podcast.
Yeah.
Now it's deliberately spelled that way because to make it unique. It's a play on words.
Yeah.
So if you think about database searches, a like for like match should at least pop up one of our episodes.
Absolutely. It didn't. I had to get it from a link from a friend Adam's channel. And then I had to share that with a couple of friends who wanted to enjoy your content too. But yeah, it goes to show you how they try to manipulate the algorithms.
I'm sure any of the authors we feature, obviously I put them on the Facebook page in the shop. So the shop actually points to their link, anyone that's been featured on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of time I'm fighting with Facebook over getting it banned. And not even the naughty titles, the naughty titles put dots in between so they doesn't get flagged, but just this is inappropriate. And Pinterest as well, that's another one. Because I put the book covers up and put a link just to spread the word, anyone who's been involved with the show. And they all calm down and go, oh, this is horrible. I actually just went stuff it one day and took off. I used to have to put on the adult content warnings. And I just took it off, man. I don't care anymore. If they're going to ban me. And now I'm actually getting viewers.
It's funny when you stop caring. It's like you grow more or something.
Yeah, that's. I just. I used to be worried about it, and now I'm just like, you know what? Whatever. I'll just start again if it comes down to it. Because in the end, I'm never going to stop talking about horror. I love it. It's the most in-depth, wide-ranging genre out there, and still has heart.
Oh, Facebook is terrible for things like that, though, because they had a go at me for breaching copyright. And I went, well, I would, because it's my copyright, it's my book. To try and get it through to them that it was my copyright was like, I had to send messages and, it was unbelievable. And I did another thing with music. And I actually wrote 15 songs and done them on a CD and put them on YouTube. And I had the same thing with YouTube, saying, this is copyright.
Oh, yes. A third-party lawyer copyrighting your stuff to see if you'll pay them to sue the creator.
Copyright, go away,
Jeez.
You see some of the messages. This is how much I don't care. My messages, whenever Facebook does it now, is just, "Are you fucking stupid?" Blah 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 blah. And I'm still here.
But was it
I'll never be monetized, but I don't care.
No, but I think was it this week that was it Frida McFadden or someone had built this group on Facebook of tens of thousands of people,
yeah, got wiped out.
And they wiped it out just because so many people had put horror terms in the comments. It's crazy, so unfair.
Clues in the name, morons. Horror,
yeah.
It kind of implies something.
Yeah, it's just frightening, and not in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah, if these movies come out now, they would not have survived. And thank goodness come out in the 80s, because honestly, House 2 is comedy gold. And Gramps is just that typical, I don't give a shit grandpa. He's who I want to be. If I'm going to be anybody old and dusty, I want to be Gramps. That's my avatar.
Oh.
But he was played by someone who you could just laugh at instantly, wouldn't it? He was he was the actor for that part. A bit like when Tommy Cooper used to walk on stage and before he even said anything, you'd laugh at him.
Just because he has demeanor.
This actor who played this Gramps, you could just think, oh yeah, this is going to be really fun. The vibe.
Who takes their dead grandpa out on the tower and try and get him laid? That's that's just 80s thinking straight away. Yeah. I've just dug you up. You're alive. I'm over it now, and it's been 20 seconds. Let's go out and rip.
Yeah.
Oh man, brilliant. Sorry, I had to put this one in, of course, because the modern audience got a heart all of a sudden. Oh, Baby Yoda! Oh, it's a cute thing. Oh, we've never seen one of those before. Well, sorry, folks. We had Catter Puppy.
Yes.
Many years before yous even existed. Up your We've had loads of stuff like this, but Catter Puppy beats any Baby Yoda that they can even try. It's only a pale comparison.
Definitely. So cute. You don't like him? Oh,
no, I'm just a big Star Wars fan. I named my son Anakin. So
sorry, I might be having a go at someone. Just I might be bullying someone just for fun because of a shithead.
Oh, well, now I love Catter Puppy.
No, he was great, but having a cute dog from another dimension, do you not worry? At some point, he's just gonna eat you while you sleep.
Yes, that's the whole point. We wanted the sequel where Catter Puppy.
Yeah,
turns into Catter Rottweiler. That's what we're waiting for. And Catter Puppy had somebody's, or Catter Puppy's like Gizmo, the cute one.
Yeah.
And then he gets fed after midnight and water spilled on him, and then the Catter Puppies arrive. That's what we're waiting for House 3, but we didn't get that. We got this instead. Right, House 3. Let's have a show of hands.
I was there with
it. Bumps. Who actually liked House 3?
I did.
I was there thinking, why has Colin made me watch this piece of Even my dog went into his kennel. Look at this, I'm not watching this.
I couldn't believe it was part of the same franchise. I just there was no humor at all. There was no house. Like their house had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was like
actually,
a
it's a
different
shame
movie.
Eric couldn't be here because we actually reviewed Shocker. That was a tough stream, that.
Uh,
But this movie actually came out 6 months before Shocker. Because I had to start going, hold on a minute, is this a ripoff? Who ripped off who? Was this and then when I saw the same year, I'm like, oh my god, was this a case of somebody had the script and somebody nicked the script off somebody else? I thought there was a whole story behind it. But like there's a 6 month gap between this came out first, then Shocker. If anyone's familiar with that movie.
it's a bit of a shocker, isn't it?
Oh, it's electrified.
What I liked about House 3 is that there were some big names in the cast, or nearly big names. Lance Henriksen had come
Yeah,
from
but he's in everything.
Alien days.
Build a franchise and he'll come.
Yeah.
I honestly think if anybody wants to have a franchise, eventually they do the Lance Henriksen ritual. Oh, come to us, Lance, and he'll appear and act the thing. He's just in everything.
I thought he was. Go ahead.
No, carry on.
I was just gonna say, I thought he was the least likable protagonist I've ever seen in a horror movie. Like I was rooting against him the whole movie. He chokes his wife. He yells at his kids. He shoots the TV. Like,
all right, hold on, man. So it's the shooting the TV that did it for you? Okay.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I was going.
That was the line that should not be crossed.
I was going in order from least offensive to most offensive. That's the line.
I actually liked the third one more than the second one. Sorry. I hated the second one. It's really hard to get through. I did like Gramps. I felt it was too goosebumpy. Like it was too much like Goosebumps. Like I wanted more horror, but I didn't feel like I didn't get it in the second one. I mean, obviously the first one is just like the best. No one can deny that one. But I think the third one, I do agree that the protagonist sucks, but I thought that was hilarious. I thought all the bad stuff in it was honestly like what was good about it. Like I really like the turkey scene.
I was just gonna say that was the best part. The turkey.
That was the sort of comedy.
There was also a scene where she's like, "What about my kids?" And he's like, "Fuck your kids." It's so funny. I don't know.
It was the laugh that did it for me. Not fucking Max's laugh. I'm just like, what the hell's that?
I'm wondering though. Do you know Scream with David Arquette? Late 90s. You know Scream. You must know Scream.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
smashed.
Well, you must know because
I've tried to erase my memory. I didn't have to drink bleach after that.
Well, David Arquette's father was in House 3. So there you go. So was he like sort of a pre-Scream thing, and then he gave his son David all this information about how to be in a horror film?
And he didn't listen. Dan, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to do this. The biggest problem is if it was a standalone movie on its own right, it'd be a completely different experience.
Yeah.
But because it's the third installment in a franchise that has nothing to do with the franchise whatsoever, that's where I have the problem.
Yeah, and I kept waiting for the comedy because of the first two. So I with that expectation, you're right. It definitely affected it. I have to run to work. I'm so sorry. I'm going to try to jump on the chat at work, but so nice meeting you guys, and I'll definitely try to.
See you again, Chris.
No worries, Chris. Well, thanks very much.
Nice to meet you, Chris.
Sorry about
Star
that.
Wars sucks.
Thank you so much
for kids.
Thank you guys. Take
care. Bye.
Yeah, if you take Halloween, they made Halloween 3. That was nothing whatsoever to do with 1 and 2.
Yeah, but that was shoehorned in. That was his own movie, and then they shoehorned it into the franchise.
Yeah.
Because
didn't they do that with this?
It looks like it, doesn't it?
I think so.
That's
what it's almost beat for beat.
House 3 is not really comedy, is it? It wasn't.
No.
It was unintentionally funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like most of these movies.
Yeah.
Any comedy in this was just it wasn't meant to be. It was trying to take itself serious, but this was beat for beat the Shocker movie.
Yeah.
Hunting them down right up to the execution scene, and then afterward, it's just beat for beat that movie, but with less hamminess. In fact, if they had taken Shocker itself and called it House 3, I think it would have fitted better than this.
Yeah,
But
definitely, because of the campiness.
Mm-hmm.
They redone the old sort of electrified slasher, didn't they, with Fallen? Do you remember Fallen? Denzel Washington, was it?
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was a similar sort of base of the story where they caught the killer and electrocuted him, and then he came back to life. I mean, Fallen was years later, wasn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, the reason I brought these movies were within 6 months of each other, and the storyline's so similar, it's frightening.
Yeah.
You just wonder what went on, because I tried to look up and see if there's any comparisons, but only theories, it's nothing actually official.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? When studios get involved and you don't know where the scripts come from, and it's like, well, we've got this franchise already, so we'll just shoehorn this script into there. And I think that went on quite a lot in those days, didn't it?
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, it still goes on now.
Yeah, sure. So like, it wasn't intended to be a house film, but it just ended up being inserted into there so it would sell. Do you think quicker than Shocker? Maybe?
I don't. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe they didn't know. Was it just coincidence that the two exact same stories were being worked on at the same time? Because these would have been shot around about the same time.
They probably knew each other. They a lot of these scriptwriters and stuff. They all know each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible, because I also thought that this movie reminded me of an episode of X-Files. I think it's called Beyond the Sea, where it's like I had it saved. It's about a death row inmate that's like psychic, and it's like one of the best episodes, but it came out, I think, 4 or 3 years after this movie. So I wonder if they were inspired by it. But I thought that was pretty interesting how the third movie of House kind of reminded me of X-Files in a way. Like even the music, like the ambient music kind of was very similar to the X-Files show.
Yeah, it wasn't House.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
I'm just looking, because Shocker was done by Wes Craven.
Yeah, it was Wes Craven. Yeah.
And looking at the sort of team behind it.
It came out in October. This came out in April.
Yeah. It's too close to be. If it had been a year or two later, you could say, well, that one's a ripoff, but they're too close together. Two similar stories. Something's went on there. It's just it's funny. Well, the guy who was selling the story had a right one going, saying, "Yeah, you can buy it, or you can buy it," and then he done a runner.
Yeah, just cash in his pocket. And
It's like even there's like the priest, isn't there? Like at the beginning of Shocker as well. Like when
exactly.
Yeah.
And the ritual, the rituals are almost similar. They're just really truncated, and Wes Craven's version they just did a bit more, but and the morphing and the other characters.
Yeah.
It's too close to that movie. And I wouldn't have, if I hadn't reviewed Shocker recently, within a month or so, I wouldn't have picked that up. I would have said, "Oh yeah, that reminds me of a film," but the fact that it's still so clear in my head that the beats are so similar, I can't shake it.
Yeah.
I'd just be interested to know what actually happened. Leaving it out of the as a house movie, it doesn't work. It's the really disjointed one. It just doesn't. Even Halloween 3 takes place at Halloween, so you can sort of do a tenuous link. If that makes sense, and forgive it. This just doesn't belong, and it's really jarring when you're watching a series. Should have at least attempted to make it a standalone movie in its own right.
Wasn't it advertised as a standalone movie?
Yeah, wasn't it was it in America? I think they did it as a standalone, and then just over here they did it as a house, or the other way around.
Yeah, some places they only actually called it the horror story, wouldn't it? They didn't. They cut out the House 3. That's probably why I didn't recognize House 3 when, and I wondered, like House 4, did it actually go in the cinema? But perhaps over here it might
think
just
it did. House 4 went straight to DVD or VHS. House 3 went in the cinema.
Yeah.
It's like when I was kind of like looking into notes and stuff, like on IMDb, it had like a different poster that was like a serious kind of thriller looking kind of movie poster. And then when I was watching it on Shudder, it had like the painted house
the
with
logo,
with Janky at the top, just like and just all that horror stuff in it. But the one that's must be the other release where it's a bit more serious was just like a man's shadow, and it looked very kind of thriller horror movie rather than being a part of the House trilogy. So that kind of made me wonder as well, was it just shoehorned in just to kind of push it out there? I don't know.
Must have been, but as we know, 9 times out of 10 that doesn't work. Back to film school, don't do this. It's like when you're we were talking about this on Sunday actually, when you're taking an author's work, translate the story. Don't make it your own. Don't do it, because it never, 9 times out of 10, doesn't work. It actually annoys people.
Yeah.
We just want a respectful adaptation.
Yeah, sure.
Still, they try.
I was reading it. I don't know if it still does, but it has a 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, like 0. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I think I knew House 3 was going to be bad, because the first thing I noticed was not like, as soon as the sort of the titles finished, the first thing that happened was a mistake. You saw a Steadicam in the opening shot, and I thought,
it's almost like they didn't care.
It's in the mirror. What was the guy's name? Lucas, was it? And there was a mirror beside him, and as soon as you looked at that, you saw the Steadicam in the mirror. So,
because why not? That's
But again, I sort of put it off then I thought, well, it was later in the 80s when
we're starting to get into like 90s territory here, when things get a bit weird.
90s, it should have been better by then.
Okay, Mina, play devil's advocate here. Why is it a good movie?
No
pressure.
So, good. I don't know if that's the right word. Entertaining. Yeah. So I think because it's stupid. I don't know, because that's what makes it fun. Like, it's like Jason X in a sense, where it's just stupid. And at times I like when I can just like turn my brain off and watch something stupid. Where I really enjoyed that. I mean, I like the practicals are fun in it. That's for sure. I think that the main bad guy, what's his name, Jinky?
Yeah, Max Jinky, or Meat Cleaver Max.
So I kept calling him Jinkies, kind of like Scooby-Doo. But like, I like the laughing furnace, like like just like the stupidest thing ever. There was just, because I think it was an interesting juxtaposition between this villain who's almost like the Joker in a way, and he's a laughing furnace, versus the main protagonist who has like no personality whatsoever, except like for being angry. I like Pumpkinhead, he's good in that, but he's always playing like this disgruntled dad. I guess that's just what he's typecast as. But I liked how different the characters were from each other. I thought that was pretty fun.
The turkey scene was something else. I'm
I
surprised didn't shoot the turkey. That would have been fun. I drew parallels towards, I don't know if you remember the old the Sledgehammer TV show with David Rash.
No, I don't know.
Where he talked to his Magnum 45, and it's like a cop show. Hammer!
Do you know, I even
Magnum
tried to
one.
look it up and I couldn't find it. I couldn't
What?
find anything about it.
Oh my god, that is cheese. That is just every type of cheese in every episode. Oh, you gotta check that out. But that was his thing. He talked to his gun, and Meat Cleaver Max talks to his ex, his Meat Cleaver, and I just instantly just drew those parallel. Oh, you have to check that show out. It's daft as hell. It's gotta be somewhere. That ran for years.
What was it called?
Sledgehammer. And it starts off, it's the panning shot, and you see it on a pillow, right? And it's like a red velvet pillow, as if it's going to do a sexy shot, and it's actually the gun, you know, it's doing the, like, as if it's got up the leg, but it's doing, like, on the pistol grip, and it's like, because that's what it's all about. His gun's like a character. His name's Sledgehammer. He's a police detective, and it's just an absolute bonkers TV show. Might just show me age. Sorry, young folks.
But you are renowned for watching junk, aren't you?
I've made a whole channel on it. Where do you think these 1,000 odd videos have come from? Not from watching quality stuff. That'd be too much effort. I have to think. Okay. Can anyone actually explain the plot after the electrocution?
No.
What happened? I got lost. I watched this. I had to rewind and watch again. What happens?
He enters a different plane of, I would know this. He enters a different plane of existence. So like that one guy, they don't really flesh him out. There's like one guy that comes in there. It kind of looks like a cross between like Jason Schwartzman and Justin Long.
Yes, I kept thinking that all the way through.
If we get enough electricity, we can call him back. And what?
He enters a different plane of existence and then goes to the house. This is why it's called House, I guess. He goes to their house to haunt them and to kill them, I guess. And then
took him long enough? Like
becomes their
half a move or anything happens.
He becomes a furnace. I don't know, like a disgruntled furnace. There you go.
I see. If I was writing it, I would have put his soul in the cat. And I would have had a killer cat.
Oh, and the whole teasing for friggin' what do you call the cat? Oh, they're going to kill the cat. He's going to kill the cat. Oh, the cat's alive. Oh, right, okay. That hasn't been done 100 times before.
And he was in a box too. Like he's like a Schrodinger's cat. So
yeah, that's true. But you're forgetting the grand finale, which was the 5-year supply of chili.
Oh yeah, because that was like, never mind explaining and making the thing actually make sense. Because I thought, how did they bring him back? Because it didn't. No. And then it did, and then it didn't, and then they shot him, but they didn't shoot him, and then they did this, and they did that, and then a van load of chili arrives at the end.
That was my favorite bit. Just like, okay.
That's the only bit that made sense.
I think the main character, the main protagonist, entered a different dimension with the killer, where he saw like horrible things happen.
A bloody different dimension with the wrong guns.
Oh.
He entered a different dimension and then went and had to go on his own, on his level, to kill him and bring him back to
you
the.
mean like flying through TV channels?
Yeah.
And pretending there are airplanes going.
But that is so like Shocker as well, isn't it? Like when he's having the dreams.
That's what I'm saying. He goes through the TV and they're like doing all the weird shit.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. If that's the right word for it.
I have to see Shocker. I've never seen it. I'll probably end up liking it because if it's like the third one, I'll probably find some enjoyment out of
it. I would offer to do a review with you, but I've already done it.
If the third one had all the camp,
Shocker is special.
That one I really want to watch now.
I've got to ask at this point: do you think by House 3 the sort of audience was getting fed up with the House movies? Because if you think the first one was quite a success, it made about 22 million at the box office. The second one went down to about 11 million, I think, at the box office. By this one was a flop.
Yeah,
It
but
cost
that's
3
always the
million.
same as sequels. Very rarely make more than the original.
It cost 3 million to make and only took in 1.7 at the box office. House 3. Whereas the sequel in House 2 cost 3 million to make and took about 11 million, I think it was. But then in the first one, it cost 3 million to make and took 22 million. So gradually over time, the House series was diving.
That's only within like a year of each other. Like House 1 and 2 came out within a year.
Did they?
So it wasn't as if there was like a huge gap.
No.
And sequels always get a hit.
Perhaps Mina might know, does the word soon get around, that, hey, this House 3 is actually nothing to do with House 2. Let's not go and see it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess I think it's like you kind of like know that they're just using like the house. It's kind of like Beyond the Door.
The trailer told it all, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like the pre-internet, the trailer is what told you about a movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mina, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like they're just using like the house just to sell more tickets, and people catch on to that. And not only that, but I think they did that with Beyond the Door, that series, where none of those movies had anything to do with each other, and that's why Halloween 3 was like a flop. Is because I'm gonna say it, I didn't like Halloween 3, and I know that like a lot of horror fans do. I could not get into that movie. I want Michael. Sorry, but
it's kind of the point of the franchise.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, if you tie the name to it, that's what people want. So people catch on, and people talk. And that's really gonna hurt your chances of having a good movie. I'm wondering. I never checked the box office for this, but how did Aliens do versus Alien?
I think Aliens did. The only two movies I can think of are Aliens and Terminator 2, where they outperformed the original. It's a very rare thing.
Let's have a look.
Come on. Sequels that are better than the original. What's subjective?
I thought Aliens was a better movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Alien took 195 million at the box office and cost 11 million to make. And Aliens. Oh, not Italians. Aliens.
Box office is 13.1. 131 to 183 million.
Yeah. Yeah. Aliens did slightly better than it?
It's a rare thing because you always get a drop off.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only really in DVD, VH, collectors that'll pick up an entire franchise. But generally, like your normally sort of cinema going audience, like, oh god, another sequel. Sure, look at today, and the minute you hear remake, reboot, rehash, you're just instantly switched off.
Yeah.
Or sequel, you just, even before you go and see it, you're like, oh god, here we go again.
Don't get me started about the Lost Boys. Oh my god, I can't believe they're remaking Lost Boys.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah.
They're burning. It's slash and burn. Honestly, Hollywood is creatively bankrupt. In fact, I can't wait for this writers and actors strike that we all get a bloody break from them, and then independent authors and writers can just take over. I've been preaching this for ages. Now's the chance. They're all going on strike. Fucking pump everything out there. Just fill everything and just make Hollywood forgotten. You've got like about 6 months to do it.
Yeah.
Get stuck in.
The independent scene is definitely going to take over, and that's a fact. Like it really is. People want creativity. They are tired of reboots, remakes. They are. So I'm a big anime fan, and they're honestly, there's none of these animes need to be touched, but they are remaking them into live actions because Look how well that's going.
Fucking Death Note.
Look how
Oh,
well
Jesus
that's
Christ.
going. All these live action.
Oh,
movies
wait,
are
hold
failing.
on. Cowboy Bebop, that was brilliant, wasn't it? Oh god, yeah, that was fantastic.
It's horrible. All of these movies are gonna like. I could see it now. Like I called it when it came to about like The Witcher. I was like, this is going to fail.
I've just
Like-
got to say good night to the other half a sec.
All right, no worries. We'll wrap up. Sorry, I know this is well, we kind of expect this to go on for a wee bit anyway. Yeah, but that's they're creatively bankrupt. There's no ideas, and it's because it's a small cabal who are grifters, and they're holding on to the purse strings, and they're pulling up the ladder after them. You know, you hear Peter Dinklage is a perfect example. It's okay for him to be a dwarf actor and be rich and famous, but no other dwarf actors can come after him. That's not allowed. That's prejudice. You know, pulling up a ladder, I'm sorted. Screw yous. That the more people virtue signal, the more you realize they're a piece of shit. It's only a mechanism. That's why I'd rather be a gobshite and honest. At least people know what you're getting any day than be one of those people like the having the back's the recce for the knife, you know. No, but they're creatively bankrupt. So what can they do? You can only go back to the past, like these movies. Because that's what I want to finish up on when we get to there. Is the 2024? What's it going to be? I'm worried.
I also think that millennials are now being treated like boomers, where they're trying to cater to what millennials want as far as nostalgia. Like they're really going off this nostalgia kick. Well, what will put millennials in the seats? Maybe we'll just like redo Lion King. Maybe we'll redo Mulan. Maybe we'll do or like we'll like make Goosebumps into a series. The Goosebumps movie sucked.
That didn't even cross my radar.
Yeah, and it's just like everybody just wants something new. Everyone's bored, and that's the problem. That's why when things like Malignant came out, it blew my mind. I was like, it's happening. The pendulum is swinging. We are finally getting camp. We're getting camp.
I laughed the way through that movie. It was mad.
I love that movie so much. But like, and then Megan is campy. I think what's happening
That was
now,
the first endeavor. Do you know Atomic Monster and Blumhouse joined forces?
they did.
Yeah, James Wan and David Blumhouse. You know they've joined as a company.
I don't know how I feel about that because I'm not like a fan of a lot of. I mean, like, okay, so I like James Wan is killing it right now. Like he's doing like a lot when it comes to the horror genre. But like, I kind of worry about like, because he's like lately he's been really investing in campy films, and I'm just kind of worried that they'll clamp down on that. Well,
the agreement was, I think it's more a distribution thing, that they'll still maintain their own identity. But Megan was the first endeavor, their first joint endeavor. So they're going to do joint endeavors like Megan, but they're still going to do like Blumhouse is never going to touch Insidious or the Conjuring universe, and I don't think James Wan would dirty himself with Sinister. Right. I can barely remember any Blumhouse movies. It's such a generic brand. I know you'll tell me like, oh yeah, that one I've seen it, but Blumhouse as a production brand just doesn't jump out at me.
I can't even remember what they put out. Is that weird? Oh yeah,
Insidious. No, that's the point I'm making. It's such a and it's when you hear of James Wan, you instantly like when you hear of Wes Craven or John Carpenter. Their production companies are what they're going to produce and what you can expect. When you hear a Del Toro, you know what they expect, but you hear Blumhouse, you're like,
they put out Dash Cam, which was fucking insane.
Oh God, yeah,
that movie was insane. I love
found footage.
Yes. Yeah. No, I really do recommend it. I think it's one of
No. I've had enough of you. No more. No. I'm not getting stitched up again, bastards. No. I'll stop you right there.
I love fan footage as well.
I'm sick of I'm just well down, isn't it? Oh, Colin, this'll change your mind. Watch this one, Colin. I'm just like, tell me now. I'm sorry for what I've said to offend you. Don't do this to me anymore. And everyone's just laughing at me as I'm trying to do a review. Not fair, you evil. The evil people.
Dash Camp's crazy. I can't get past it. They really pushed the envelope with that one. I will say that.
Like I said, the only one likes Troll Hunter. That's it, and nobody else likes it. So
Oh, I love
Troll.
Troll.
Yours.
Troll Hunter's great.
Troll's amazing. Yeah, Troll. It's so good.
I died. I'm actually a Christian.
Yeah. It's brilliant. That is a brilliant film. And at the end, when I know we're not even supposed to be talking about Troll tangents again, but when the newscaster's there and he's just like, and yes, I can confirm that trolls are real, and then this is just like ends like that. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it. Anyway, House.
So yeah, 3 dead stuff and drugs may have been involved while writing it and shooting it. Something happened anyway. I tried 3 times and still can't work out what the hell happens that second half, apart from the kid's smarter than the rest of them. The kid's smarter than the detective because he's getting free shit all the time. Fair play to you, kid. He was actually my favorite character.
That's who, you know, the lieutenant. That was David Arquette's father, Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who he played. So, there you go. So it was quite a famous family, like of in House 3, isn't it? So
Fair play. No, yeah, if it hadn't been attached to the House series, I think this would have been a completely different experience. But yeah, they did it, and it's been done before, and it's always the same result. And they'll do it again, and it'll be the same result.
Yeah.
Ah, well. Finally, House 4, the repossession, or as I like to say, the overcorrection. I just feel with this movie, the backlash from House 3, the man, oh, we gotta fix everything. We gotta do it all, and blah.
well, they bought Roger Cobb back, didn't they?
Yes. As a different character, but as his own character, with a completely different set of circumstances for a different house.
Didn't mention the aunt at all. Like all of a sudden, it was just my dad and my granddad's legacy. Like no mention of the aunt and the house, even though that was like so pivotal in the first one. It was just so weird.
Yeah.
Okay, the thing that and it might be seem weird, but this is an abandoned house in the middle of nowhere, yet it's also simultaneously in a suburban neighborhood. Like, there's some cross-dimensional shit going on there, which I still can't wrap my head around, because one minute it's isolated, nowhere's about for miles. Next thing, they're having like yard sales and people are just walking up because like it's within walking distance. Like, what happened? Did they pan the camera around? Like, it's all dusty and it's like the Addams Family house up on the hill, and then you turn around and suburbia all around them. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's not somewhere you'd just be driving through and see this yard sale, is it? It's, that is a little bit of a continuity issue.
That's the one. Okay, that's the one that makes this movie strange to watch. Okay,
This is the one. This is the one as well I found the most mistakes in.
Really, I might have found 1 or 2 myself. I don't know.
Yeah.
What happened? That's actually funny enough. I did enjoy this. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's bonkers mental. It's just
Who's that? Who's at the door?
that's not me. Not good.
Not me.
That was for. I think that was for my boyfriend.
All right, is that one of the neighbors going? Shut up, you lot! Stop talking about shitty movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on with this movie? It's like they're just throwing as much as they can at the wall to see what'll stick.
Yeah, I felt like it very much had that whole Captain Planet kind of feel, you know, like at that era where it was all about like oil spills. And so like that was where the kind of toxic waste came into it. And the 2 sort of henchmen of Burke just reminded me so much of those like main characters in like the main baddies in Captain Planet. That's all I kept thinking about all the way through. Whenever they came in and like Grosso was on, it was just like, this is like such a kid's cartoon kind of feel to it from that age where it was all about like, you know, like Ezra talking about the progress that people were making, and it was destroying the land. It kind of like had this underlying message of like the environment, but it was just...
Underland, they were kind of slapping you in the face with it. They were kind
Well, I
of going,
suppose, yeah.
save the planet. Toxic waste is bad.
But in such a weird way, like such an unexplained, like...
I was half expecting Tim Burton to have walked through this movie half stoned, going, I'll do that bit and I'll do that bit. Okay, there you go. My work here's done, and then stagger off.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It gets so bad. I don't know if you remember, there's a scene in the kitchen that the person who must have been responsible for setting up the table for the scene was still in the film.
Yeah.
She was sitting at the table while they were filming.
But you didn't. The thing is, you thought it was part of it because there was that many random people with no explanation turning up that you just kind of went, okay, is that another ghost
In the
thing?
film, wasn't she? Oh, yeah.
I loved Laurel's like 18th century wheelchair. Like, what is that all about? Like, and then when she comes back from the hospital, she gets a modern one. But the first one that was like from the Beverly Hillbillies,
Like the chain thing, it was the one from the chain thing.
Yeah.
In fact, the chain thing one was a bit more modern.
But how did she get around that house? And they even talk about how there's no elevators in it. So how does she get upstairs? Like, it's just...
Yeah.
It's
In her flying wheelchair.
yeah.
Do you know what? If that wheelchair had a flue, if I had it done like Back to the Future and the wheels went up the side and she hovered, I wouldn't have blinked in that. I wouldn't have blinked.
Yeah.
I would have just went, that's an horror thing.
That's really funny imagery.
Yeah, they made a whole thing about Roger Cobb coming back, and it just made no sense. And then to have him killed off like 10 minutes in the movie.
That was a surprise. That was an interesting start.
Why? Why bring him back just to kill him off?
It could have been anybody.
There were a lot of
insert
whys.
any actor, any character here. And they did it with the press release and all. They made a whole big thing about it. As if they were returning back to the sequel, you know, the original, and replaying another scenario. And it was just, huh?
So weird.
I wonder if he had like scheduling issues or something. I
Or
don't.
Maybe.
Did they only give him part of the script and then he read it and went, no, I want to become a character now. I can't do this.
I think my favorite part ever, I don't know how I predicted this, was the ending. He was dressed as a cop and then he flies off into space as a cop.
That was like Starman or friggin' like something Disney. I wanted some tinkly. They didn't do tinkly music. I wanted tinkly music when he did it.
And then it just ends. It's like nothing about the house. Like, what happens after the fire? Is it still livable? Are Terry and Laurel going to carry on there, or is it just raised
The
to
portal,
the ground?
is it?
It was just,
Still
there
need to
goes
be
this star, and then boom.
He wanted to sell the house so they could use it as an illegal dumping site or something.
Yeah. It was just...
And meanwhile, there's tons, miles of waste ground behind them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it had to be that spot
That
there.
particular spot.
Yeah.
That must have been where all of the neighbours live, in that spot behind them. So they couldn't possibly dump it on there.
All right, you just went over that bramble, the tumbleweed. And
Yeah.
just behind the tumbleweed's an entire neighborhood.
Neighborhood.
They really couldn't make up their mind what the hell to do with this movie.
No.
I feel like she just kind of like rolled around in her bed looking at pictures of Dr. Cobb the entire time. Like, it was really funny to me. I think honestly for like the fifth one, they should like still live in that house, half burned down, like Grey Gardens or something.
Have a campsite
Yeah.
set up inside, or a caravan stroke trailer, like just parked in the middle.
They're like both yelling at each other, and she's still in her wheelchair. You know, be really funny.
I did
But
kind of
they-
like the sorry.
No, carry on.
I was just gonna say I did kind of like the fact that Terry was actually like a kind of strong female, because the first one and the second one like the female characters weren't that great, and they all tend to disappear. Like at the end of the
Oh,
second
that
one,
works.
yeah, off they go to the Wild West just with the girl they rescued from like
The Aztec Temple.
Portal. But
Because
like
that would work out because people were so accepting in the Wild West.
yeah, but like his friend's girlfriend, they just never to be spoken of again. And so like this, at least it was like a kind of
See,
strong
the problem
female.
was Jennifer Lawrence hadn't been born yet, so
this
nobody
is
knew
it.
what a strong female character was.
Yeah.
She had to show the way. Did you not know that?
Well, she handled that pizza.
That pizza.
I had to
I don't know what my favorite character is. The poor wee guy who you could tell, you know, he had the pain in his face of an employee who was made to do the grading shit for a few extra tips, or the actual pizza character herself, which had a level of pain in itself. You know, I just felt that's the most sympathetic I felt. Like I didn't even feel sympathy for the wee girl in the wheelchair. But that guy, that poor pizza guy, who has to drive to this abandoned place, which is sometimes in the middle of the desert and sometimes on the edge of the neighborhood. So, you know, I mean, he has to shift. It's either going to be a 5-mile journey or a 20-mile journey, depending on the plot at the time. Having to do that routine, and he did it. He had the pain in his face. That's the best act that I've seen in a long time.
But what did Roger have to do with the Native Americans anyway? Because that spiritual guy, wasn't he?
Oh, discount friggin'
Taylor, like Israel, isn't it?
That was bargain basement Taylor. Like, what the hell?
Roger and some Native Americans.
You know who I'm talking about, obviously, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
For apologized.
Yeah.
Taylor. Yeah, he did not like he didn't add anything, and he seemed to like go down in the basement and do like a ritual, but then immediately Cobb died afterwards. So you were like, well, he wasn't protecting him down there. Yeah, then he was in the church all the time.
Make up your mind. That's why your rituals aren't working, because you don't know what you are. You're kind of mixing and matching there, dude.
But he brought nothing to the table whatsoever, did he? Like,
What's the point of it?
Do you know who he reminds me of, actually? Flipping, what do you call him? Do you have a Carradine playing Kane?
Oh, David Carradine.
Yeah, David Carradine playing Kane, the most unconvincing Chinaman ever.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mentioned my age again. That was an old show.
I remember Kung Fu. Grasshopper!
If I talk really slowly and use lots of pauses, people will think I'm either William Shatner or Chinese. You decide. It's like, that's what I'm getting from this guy. Flipping Ezra, like, what was I?
he was no Werner Klump, that's for sure.
She's my favorite cat. She is brilliant. This movie could have just had her for half the movie, and I'd have been happy.
Yeah, she was in it for like 3 scenes, though. Unfortunately,
but what a bloody 3 scenes!
Yeah.
I actually thought, and they did it well, because she was just that over the top, you know, dun 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 dun. You know, I thought she was working for the toxic waste company.
Yeah.
Not a chemical company. It's actually a toxic waste company, because that's what you produce. Like, it's not a byproduct of actually something useful. You actually produce toxic waste, so you can twirl your mustache and go, "Wow, I'm gonna dump this places." Flip sake, there's Masters Universe episodes that were more in depth. But yeah, she was brilliant. I just loved her character.
Yeah. What do you think happened at the end where she was pretending to be like Grosso, and then all of a sudden he was like handcuffed to the car? That was just
I don't know, because it never
thing.
explains. It was like, and you don't know whether the house was on their side or not. And it's only explains on a thing that the house was trying to warn her. It's like, you're not doing a very good job, are you?
Nope.
And the spirits, because once again, this policy's channel is that ghosts are stupid. And this is just another example of ghosts being stupid because they can't communicate.
Yeah.
It's like, if you can scroll words and do stuff, then go, warning, danger, evil people coming, not scare the Jesus out of the poor wee girl, and then try and I don't know, because it was legit trying to kill her, and then the other time, like the dog with a lamp shade,
Yeah.
is trying to save her life, but then they're simultaneously trying to kill her at the same time. You're like, what are you doing? What is going on? And if there had been maybe two opposing forces in the house, and the intervention of I forget his name because he's just a weird character anyway, but if one's trying to tip the balance one way and the family's trying to tip it the other, or the evil that the sales being put in the house is trying to escape, and that's what it's doing, but it never with no payoff.
No.
House 3 made more sense. That's
Well, this House 4 had a lower budget. They took the budget.
Do you think?
Down. Yeah.
I never noticed. I have no idea what Clump was looking under the couch, but she did it so well, and she made me laugh, so I'll forgive her. Yeah, I don't know, man. Does anybody else wish that they'd actually succeeded, the chemical guys, and just actually dumped the waste just to see what would happen?
It would have been a fitting end to the 4 films.
Yeah, just a big flipping Ghostbuster-esque, shaky camera, see-through monster roars out of the house.
Yeah, that would have been
Because of the
amazing.
combination of the toxic waste and the entity, and then it starts going on a rampage. That would have been, I think that would have been beautiful.
Yeah, it would have been a good follow-up to the bug and the snake gunfight, because that was ace.
And that was so random because it didn't fit anywhere with the like I was saying, they're trying to get rid of her, but then they're also protecting her as well at the same time. It's like,
Yeah,
what is going on? That scene was epic.
it was really good actually. I loved that bit.
I think the best way is these are a bunch of like weird, random, funny scenes thrown together and in a disjointed fashion. It was almost like an anthology of horror scenes.
Yeah.
Where individually they're brilliant, but what's going on?
Well, that scene with the phlegmatic was just so disgusting. But I thought it was so like extreme splatterpunk kind of like, wow. I was just watching it and it was like physically making me feel ill. I was like, that's actually really powerful scene in a weird way. Like that is effective because it's so gross.
If anyone who saw my stream on Sunday, like, I got upset if like houses don't have mattress covers. That sets me on edge. So you can just imagine how I felt watching that. I was like, no.
That's
God.
it actually makes you feel something so strongly that I thought that was done really, really well. And it's for that time as well to have something like that go through was like very sort of, I don't know, kind of, I don't know. My brain's going revolutionary, but that's not the right word. But it's like that whole splatterpunk thing of just getting out there. It was really effective.
Let's do something bonkers and like simple and
disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really well done that bit, but oh god, it's hard to watch.
The bits that really get me is when the villains drive up to the house and park outside before they do something gnarly.
Yeah.
And the boss watches them from outside the house. And I really wish they'd done a camera pan because that must be like the busiest street ever. And then there's just this abandoned house the other side. Maybe you don't notice, but you think you'd park maybe a bit down the road or around the hill and walk, but. And then when they do the reveal of they actually shot, caused the accident. And it was so bad. I think that was the worst bit. That reveal. It was just so bad.
Yeah.
Are you sure this one wasn't straight to VHS?
This one was.
Yeah.
This was the VHS.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just that. Obviously, they looked at it and went, no, we're not doing that. No.
But But with the way as well that like Burke rings the police straight away, it's like before the car's even blown up, it's like, what is your angle here? You're like, what if they'd have come here and put the fire out and got him out? Like, because it wasn't even on fire at that point. And he's just like, hello, there's been a terrible accident. And then he's the one who rings the fire brigade at the end. I'm just like,
hello, there's
Like,
that's what I'm saying. What if it had been the other time portal where it's just down the street in the neighborhood and not the abandoned, isolated house? Like,
yeah.
they really mess with that. That's a bit that really messed with my head because I couldn't decide, was the house like isolated in the dusty, windswept road to nowhere, or was it in the middle of a neighborhood? The really jump between that, and I think that's the thing. You need some grounding. Like, it doesn't matter how fantastical the story gets. You need a ground in reality because you can't appreciate the super normal if you don't have the normal to hold on to. So when they just remove, like, they may as well have removed gravity as well and not have it work. That's why this movie felt.
it was like a weird tone shift too. Like it kind of felt like a Lifetime movie at times where like she's like, what's that woman's name? She was like the housekeeper or whatever. But they were like giggling together, and I think they did a really bad cut because they look like they were at their mark and just started walking, but they're just like, you can call me Kelly. That was really, really bad, but it kind of felt Lifetimey, and then it wasn't all of a sudden, and then it went back to being like a Lifetime movie. So it kind of reminded me of like a Mel Gibson movie in a sense, where Mel Gibson will be like all like it'll be like a romantic movie, and then it gets like really dark and gruesome out of nowhere. But this movie had issues with tone, in my opinion. Well, issues with a lot of stuff, but definitely tone. I think that's like the house series in general is I feel like it doesn't know what it wants to be at times. Like, does it want to be like horror? Does it want to be a comedy? Like it has a hard time like balancing the two.
Yeah, but that's generally the 80s as well. I think that's why I'm saying this is the epitome of like 80s horror, because a lot of movies are like that.
It's really hard to pull up. I think the first one does the best, in my opinion. It really pulls off both horror and comedy.
Yeah, I'd agree, because I'd originally went House 2 being my favorite, but I think favorite because when I watched it as a kid, as a comedy, and I just, giggled the whole way through. But as a horror movie, yeah, definitely one is there. I don't know what happened to these other two. Honestly, it just I think I had more fun watching House 4 though than 3. 3, I think I just had a sense of disappointment, and this doesn't belong here, and it's too close to another movie.
Yeah, I think 3 kind of left me a bit cold, whereas at least House has still got that humor and that kind of funny feel to it, whereas 3 didn't have any of that.
I thought number 4 on House just gave me the impression that it was done by the same production team that done Cycle 3 and Cycle 4, where he was sat on the telephone going, "Oh no, what are you going to do?" sort of thing, and
God, we'll have to do that. That's a bonkers series.
Yeah.
It just went off the rails. It
did, yeah. They should have left it alone. But
was it 3? Was this the staircase scene? Where she's falling down the staircase and he's at the top and he sort of pushed her, but he didn't push her. And she's like, It's almost like she's going down in one of them stair lifts,
Yeah.
I need to go back to those.
4 was he was on the radio, wasn't it? That was number 4. Yeah.
God, I can't remember. It's been so long. I'll have to dig those out. Right, we've been at this a bit. Let's wrap up before you hate me for keeping you online for so long. So is the film series as a whole, or just the first one, worthy of cult status? Or is it everything banking on the first movie and everything else just a shoe on? Or should 1 and 2 be held together as sort of closely knit and the other 2 forgotten about? What's your sort of feelings on it?
I would have stopped at number 1. I would have left it. So that would have been, the one to actually have in your sort of DVD collection. Like, I wouldn't think on, I think I'll get House 2. Whereas watching number 1, I would have thought, oh yeah, that's worthy of a place in my sort of DVD or Blu-ray collection, and I would say VHS, but I haven't got any anymore.
They're bringing them back as collector's items.
Yeah. I know the
one for a bit of nostalgia on the bookcase sort of thing.
Shop in Bridgend, he had one of the top loaders. Do you remember the top
Oh,
loaders?
yeah.
You used to have to press them down and then they fly up. Press them down again. Yeah, I had one of them.
They didn't chew up as many tapes, though.
No.
The front loaders were desperate for chewing up tapes. The top loader, at least, once it went in there, it wasn't. It was secure.
Yeah. It's a bit like closing your suitcase when you've got too many clothes in it, isn't it? Sit on top of it.
MJ, what's your overall sort of thoughts on the cult status?
Yeah, I think it deserves it. I think,
the series or the first, what's your sort of thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree that the third one didn't belong. I think they should have just sort of stuck with it. I think the third one has cult status, definitely. I mean, the singing pizza is epic, just for that cult status kind of feel to it. Oh, 4, sorry, that's what I mean.
4,
yeah. I
3 was the turkey.
3's like gone from my memory completely. But 4, so 1, 2, and 4 together as a trilogy, I think definitely work as cult status. 3 just didn't seem to belong in that for me. I mean, I think I might be the only person who thinks that the second one was the best, which I really loved it. But because like that sequence where, when they go into the jungle and then they come out and there's the dinosaur there and it does its little like Harryhausen kind of plodding along, and then they find the pterodactyl, and I love all that. It really sort of encapsulates that kind of adventure.
Very Jim Henson sort of feel to it, wasn't there?
Definitely. It's like a cross between, it's like got that gate kind of feel, and it's got like the labyrinth kind of feel, and so it's like all a mishmash of all those things that were popping. It's got like kind of Goonies kind of elements to it as well. It's just that bit of fun, I think, the second one that I really, really enjoy. I mean, obviously the first one for horror, second one for just a bit
pure
of fun
comedy and enjoyment, because I did it.
Yeah. So sorry. But I was just gonna say, and then like the third one, it doesn't fit that. So like the fourth one, I think has elements that do, and so I would say those 3 definitely with the cult status. The third one, possibly the cult status, but for a different thing, like a totally standalone thing. Yeah,
that could be Shocker 2.
Exactly. Could have been Shocker 1.
Shocker 2.
Yeah.
I know technically it came out first, but.
Yeah.
Shocker, the prequel.
Definitely. So I think 1, 2, and 4 definitely deserve the cult status.
And Mina.
I think just the first one. I think they should have left it just at House 1. I think the second one should have not been a house movie. I think it should have been something else, and I think it's good for like kids and stuff, and I think it's fun in its own right. I just don't see it as a house film at all. But I do understand like why it's so lovable. I think the dog's name is Bippy, right?
Bippy,
yeah, that was adorable. So there are parts of it that I think are really cute, and it's something like I would definitely show my kids down the road. But House 1 is the original, and it'll always be the best, and I think it should have just stopped at 1.
But when's Hollywood ever going to do that?
Never. They never learn.
Gotta milk it.
Yeah.
You could say House 1 and House 2. By the time it got to House 3, it became a bit of a flat.
Downgraded the condo.
I think Roger Cobb should have been the main villain in House 3. I think he should have been the one that was electrocuted.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have worked because he would have been driven insane by the first one, and he's continued to live there. Then it drove him mental.
Yeah.
There would have been your tenuous link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
But
house.
hey, who are we? We're just weirdos on the internet. You know, we're not the one that loses $320 million in a release or buys $1 billion franchise and runs it into the ground. I mean, what will we know? We're just a paying customer after all. We're filth. According to these wondrous people, have all the ideas. And okay, just do a round robin quickly. Top 3 scenes out of the entire franchise. Steve, you want to go first?
Oh god.
Is that
top
or
3
favorite scene? What got you? If you can't think of 3.
Oh, that's put me on the spot. That is. I like the was it the auntie? Was it hanging up? But I thought the best thing was the grandpa in number 2 when he was shooting. And
Oh, sorry.
then they went out for a bender.
Yeah, they're shooting the
I thought that was hilarious. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll go with, like I said, the dino that appearing out of nowhere. I just loved it. It got something in my heart, like of all of those old kind of movies that I loved, like the like I said, the Harryhausen kind of movies. It just had that feel for me. I've got like I say as well, the Phlegmatic scene, because I hated it, but at the same time it was just like insane and just captivating, and I couldn't believe
it's
what I was
hard to
watching.
find anything now that shocks you, if that makes
Exactly, and that really just got me like a kind of feeling, which I never do. Normally, I can watch anything and not get a reaction like that. So I think it stands up. And then, oh, sorry,
quite a shock because the guy was a dwarf as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's the whole build up to it. Like you don't know if he's gonna throw up or you don't know what's going on, and then it's worse. And then when they make him drink it, it's just like, oh my god. So yeah, and then I've got for the number 1 film, the Big Ben moment where he comes back as the zombie. I just think that is just such a powerful kind of thing, and I also like the bit where the Marlin comes to life, which is a bit stupid, but I do quite like stupid stuff. So yeah, those are my top 3.
Cool. Mina?
So I guess my top 3 would be from House 1 would be the harpoon scene where he just shoots him beside his head, and he's like,
"Whoops, sorry about that."
Yeah, his like the facial expressions in that were hilarious. And then Roger Cobb flying off into space. Like I predicted, I was like, watch, he's going to fly off into space. And he did. He flew off into space.
They called it.
I was just like, this is like the most 90s thing ever.
Don't become J.R.R. Martin, okay? Or J.R.R. Martin, don't become him. I knew the plot before it was finished. I'm so super big brain. Yeah, I wrote it on a piece of paper. My wife handed it to hers, and we knew the bloody end.
And then I think the scene, I liked when they found Bippy, but I also like the scene from House 3 where she's like, where are the kids? And he's just like, pops out of nowhere. He's like, fuck your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a terrible character, like he did have a few moments. Oh, and Chris has just put top 3 scenes. I was wondering if they told us a raccoon in the closet. That's me shoving the body. The electrician going to the other dimension like it was nothing. It's like, yeah, you know what it's like with these old houses? Pulls out a sword. And the 2 henchmen just shooting each other. Yeah, they're point blank.
I love that.
I think they reenacted that scene in the latest John Wick movie.
Oh.
At the end, 2 people just shooting each other like at point blank range. Now to think about it, that's where they stole the idea from. I got, first of all, the first one, Sandy / Monster in the Hall. The reason being, even just as a kid, that was my first jump scare, I think. Like my first proper jump scare, and you always remember your first. And yeah, it's still with me, and that's what gave me that sort of love of horror. I just thought, oh, what the hell's this?
Yeah.
Slim rising from the... You know when everyone's doing the cute family scene? And then Slim rises just pops up from the table. Like I was thinking, like like Beetlejuice sort of thing, but more just sort of more graphic. I was just yes. And then the pizza scene, but now I'm thinking the pizza scene itself or the pizza guy scene, because that wee guy was tormented having to do that. And I'm wondering if it was the actor just going, "You're making me do this for a part in the movie." Shall we go to favorite 3 characters? Just
know what?
Favorite 3 characters?
Uh,
Or just turn it into one of those watch
Grandpa.
mojo type
I like
or
Grandpa.
clips that are
Grandpa in House 2. Big Ben House in number 1. I can't think of any more.
Yeah, fair enough. No, it's just
I
like I said, it's just
like 2 at the moment. And the composer of the music.
music can be a character in a movie, but you know what I mean.
So I've got Bippy, of course.
Mhm.
I've got Gramps, and then this is kind of controversial, but I went for Terry because, like I say, I like her. It was just nice to see a good female character, even though some of like she spent most of it rolling around on the bed, talking to the wall. Like, I don't know, I liked her.
In number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. I like Terry as well. So.
Yeah.
You know,
I liked Gramps, surprisingly, because I'm not like the biggest fan of House 2, but I did like Gramps. He's a good character. Harold was really funny, and obviously the main character, Roger. So I guess I'm boring.
yeah, but that's the whole point. We're, you know, we can all watch a movie and get different things. That's if we all there'd only be one movie if art wasn't subjective.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm not a real horror fan. You're not a real horror fan. You don't like the same thing we like. You haven't subscribed to the top 10 list. You haven't watched the same movies. So, starting to sound like a slasher app. Oh, that could be that app's funny at times. Some of the people on that take themselves way too seriously. But anyway, another tangent. Who did Chris favorite neighbor in the house? Oh, Norm, yeah, Norm.
Oh,
I forgot about him.
I always thought he was crazy.
Yeah. The electrician. Yep.
Yeah.
Fair one. And yeah, Gramps. I think Gramps is a clear winner because he's my second one. Yeah, Cat or Puppy, definitely. I picked Gramps and Verna Klump.
Yeah, she was cool.
I thought she was amazing. We didn't get enough of her.
Yeah.
But what we did get, she just went balls to the wall. Like just overacting gloriousness. It was gloriousness. And it was just fun to watch.
I just messed up real quick. I thought for some reason neighbor's name was Harold. Where did I get that from? Is there a character named Harold at all in House? In the House series? I feel like I heard that.
I can't remember. I was going to go back and look it up actually after this.
I think I meant the neighbor. His name. What was his name?
Norm.
Norm. Okay, yeah. For some reason, I thought his name was Harold. Maybe
he's one of those characters though that's like you call him about 10 different things because
he looks like a Harold.
Yeah, he popped in my head when you said it, so I was just like, yeah, Harold. And I was just like, so the neighbor from next door. So is he called Harold in
Chris
Cheers?
does this thing called research. I know it's supposed to be good for like channels and jokes and stuff, but I don't truck with it myself. It's bad for you. Makes you think and stuff, and it's like right. I suppose finally, I was gonna say apart from Max Jenke, but least favorite character? Are we all in the consensus there?
I didn't like Burke. I don't know. Laurel was pretty annoying at times.
The electrician.
Just didn't agree. I just found his laugh. You know, he could have been a great character, but that laugh of his was just.
I liked it when he popped out of when he was pretending to be the lawyer in the prison cell, and then he just jumps like, and he was like clean shaven for a second and had the hat on, and then he took the hat off, and it was great.
Just a way it could have. I mean, there was so much could be done there, but just the way it was put across, just Mina.
Least favorite character?
Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna be weird. Bill Maher from House 2. Do you guys remember? Like, he's in that movie. He's the guy that has like that's helping his girlfriend with the recording or something. Do you guys remember that at all?
I don't actually.
Bill Maher is in the second movie.
Is he? All right.
Yeah.
I completely spaced that. I see. I'm not really familiar with him. You know, be more your side of the pond. I know he pops up in clips and stuff every so often, but I don't really.
Yeah, so Bill Maher is in that, and he was kind of like a snake.
He's a talk show person or something, isn't he?
Yeah. He was in that movie. He's kind of like he's the whole reason why they break up, like why she leaves him, because he's kind of like
he was her boss or something, wasn't he?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, it's hard though when you try to take in 4 movies in a short period of time to like review them all. It's like you're going to miss stuff. There you go. So, just final thought: are we all excited for House 2024?
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Chris, you just wind up. Yeah, go ahead. You pick up.
Now's a good time to leave it. They should leave it.
Yeah. What if it's going to be a remake?
Oh no!
Could you picture modern day acting and modern day flipping wooden plankery going about in the screen? Oh my God! What if they make Kristen Stewart the lead? I'm gonna have a Kristen Stewart monologue at the beginning about the haunted house.
Oh no! Now I'm not looking forward to it.
Oh.
Who's directing
Could
it?
they make a house in the? Even though House series can't make a House series in the vibe of the House series, as we've seen, but I don't think they're not gonna do it justice.
They're making a house, I think, into a video game.
Late, isn't it?
Sorry, Mina, what was that?
Oh, I was saying, I think they're making House into a video game, which is kind of weird.
Ooh.
It'll have to be comedy.
And
It'll have to be a goofy game.
Yeah, that might actually work, but they are rebooting it for some reason. Yeah, so it's not like a continuation. It's just a complete.
It's going to be a reboot.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
right.
whole. Oh no, nothing's
I'm
safe.
just trying to look up.
Is nothing sacred?
Nothing.
No.
Is there no corpse they will not defile?
No. I'm still not as angry about that as I am about the Lost Boys, though. So.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Oh, Lost Boys.
Joel
is a
Schumacher's only good movie.
classic
I
film.
still can't forgive him for Batman and Robin.
Oh.
I still have hatred in my heart.
Joel Schumacher.
Yeah, Joel Schumacher directed Lost Boys. He's
Yeah.
the man who invented bat nipples.
He also did Hannibal as well, didn't he? The second.
Did he do that?
And yeah, the second film, not the TV series, the film. I'm sure he did. I will check on that.
Yeah, I can't remember. That
I'm
was
sure-
all right. It was that fourth one was a bloody horrendous.
Oh.
Was it Hannibal Rising, the prequel?
Oh, that was awful, wasn't it?
Oh god, that was. Oh, I suppose you liked it. Is that what we laughs about there?
Yeah, I like that movie, but I liked it for the wrong reasons. Anyways, I had a crush on the main character, so when I was
You are so shallow.
I haven't watched it in a long time. I might have to do a rewatch.
That
Well,
was.
if we're going to be shallow, oh, by the way, we'll failed our booby quota because we only got one set of boobies and 4 movies. So that only has us at 25% boobies. So our KPIs for this channel are 30% booby showage. So we're going to have to watch another movie, a review one next week with boobies in it to keep up to date, or else we're going to fail. Sorry, Chris, just had to mention because he's very up to, he keeps up to date with my KPIs for me. So make sure the channel's performing properly.
I'm sure he did one of the Hannibal movies. I'm just checking now.
He probably did the 4th one. That's probably where I read the rat shit and didn't make any sense.
Batman. Falling
Hannibal
down.
nipples.
Batman
He's-
Forever. He done Batman Forever. As
I know.
well.
I'm fucking still angry. I'm fucking...
I liked Batman and Robin.
Of course you did.
I loved Poison Ivy. I don't know. Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy was great.
Sorry, your opinion's no longer valid.
Give me all that garbage.
I just thought, oh, Joe Schumacher hasn't done anything since 2013. It's because he died.
I have no sympathy. Fucking.
Batman and Robin.
He died of shame, that's why. Hope nobody's easily offended this channel. If you should have watched maybe a couple of episodes beforehand.
It's gonna bloody haunt me now.
People still keep coming back. Must be doing something right. Guys, this has been an absolute hoot. Honestly, I was wondering if it was going to be too ambitious having so many folks on and covering such a weird, but these were fantastic. Honestly, thanks very much for coming on and making this fun. It's good just to go over this and bringing different opinions to the table. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Because you're boring, it was just all the same.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had fun.
Me too. It was great.
You know, we were on about how did she get up the stairs?
Yes.
Well, she should have got a stair lift, shouldn't she? I hate stair lifts. They drag me up the wall.
Wah, wah, wah. Steve's jokes are like a kick in the bits, you know what I mean? You stand your legs, you stand there and you wait, and you know it's coming. And you're just waiting for the Yeah, and if you want more pain, he's got a joke book out as well, just to
I got a joke
more.
Buy my joke book, MJ.
I will.
That's true horror.
We actually give one of our friends' husbands a copy of my joke book because I was always telling him jokes randomly. So for his birthday, we gave him a copy of my joke book, and he opened it, and I thought, oh, he's going to kill me for this. And he opened it, and he starts reading them out, and he starts laughing. So then they went on holiday to Turkey, and he took the bloody joke book with him. So his missus texts me, and she says, I'm going to bloody kill you when I get back. She says, all I've heard every day is these jokes while we're laying on the beach.
Oh,
Rave reviews.
brilliant. Because of 50% of divorces on holiday.
Actually, my bestseller, actually.
Excellent.
My joke book is my bestseller.
Fantastic. You can't beat it. Guys, we'll have to do something else. I know we're going to do Dracula. Steve and I have been talking this for a while and they get put back. So we're going to do Dracula in film. That's one definitely upcoming. But yeah, love to have you on for either a singular movie or another franchise. If you've got ideas, please drop us an email and we can get something sorted. But once again, thank you. It's been such a pleasure. Thanks to everyone in the chat. And Chris, obviously I know you're working and stuff, but thanks for coming on earlier. It was really great to have you. Like I said, hope we do this again. But there you go, folks. There was a house party. Hope you had fun watching it. And as always, there'll be more craziness in the future. So keep up to date with the channel. Do the typey clicky things. And until next time, keep it creepy. Oh, wait. Plug. Shit. I'm in the... put the brakes on. Stephen, plug something.
Oh, well, my new
plug
book
something.
is due out the first.
The whole point again, you don't come on here to talk. You come here to sell stuff so that the pain's worth it.
My new book is due out 1st September, Stalker. So keep a lookout for it. It'll be on pre-order sometime mid-August. If not, buy the others. They're on my website, www.stephensamuelknight.co.uk.
Links will be in the comments.
Links in the comments. Thank you.
MJ.
I've got a book, The Suffering, if you like haunted house horror, a bit of humor, a bit of splatter, then The Suffering might be for you. It's out now from Wicked House Publishing.
Fantastic. Once again,
Wicked.
we'll do that. Wicked.
Wicked.
Mina,
I have a short film that'll be coming out soon. It'll be going to festivals. It's called Poppy Seed. So if anyone wants to go to a festival, might be playing there. I will give updates.
fantastic. So there you go, folks. Support their stuff. Make their pain worthwhile coming on and putting up with me for 2 hours plus. Give them some support as always. Independent artists are the way forward. Hollywood is dead. They're trampling over every franchise because they've no idea. So let's get some new horror out there and take over the world as we've always have done. There we go.
Yeah.
So
rock on.
until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.
Bye, boys.